Hey everyone, tonight we're going to be debating the flat Earth, and to get us kicked off, we have Mark Reid arguing for the globe Earth tonight. So, Mark Reid, if you want to kick it off, we'll get right to it.
Yeah, hi, my name's Mark Reid. I'm taking the negative position on is the Earth flat. I'll just share my screen so I can sort of get my presentation up. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Just bear with me here.
Just tell me when it's up and running, mate.
Yeah, you should be good now.
Okay, fantastic. So flat Earth. Now, we've only got 10 minutes, so I'll go through this fairly quickly. So I do apologize if sort of I'm leaving anyone behind. I'm sure Austin can keep up. So first off, you may have seen this before. It's a question that I've asked Austin in our 2v2 debate, which he never gave a good answer for. And I really want to sort of touch on this again, the circumpolar stars. So basically, for those who don't know, the circumpolar stars are those which rotate around the poles or the center of the globe model. Basically they go anti-clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, however, they go in a clockwise direction. Now, this was taken in Australia. The other one was taken in the northern hemisphere. I believe it was UK. So notice that there's no central star in the south, and it's a lot closer to the horizon because it's a lot further south in latitude. Now, let's have a look. This is what it looks like comparatively side by side. Counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, straight in the equator, and south they go clockwise. Now, what's interesting about this, and this is a photo from Alaska, notice how they're much higher in the sky at a more northern latitude. This is because as you go towards the poles, they get higher and higher and higher until this is at Antarctica. That's a LiDAR. They are perfectly above the poles. So this is taken at the South Pole. This doesn't work on a flat plane as there is no real South Pole. And what's interesting about it, this is how it works on a globe. Basically, you're looking either south or north on the globe. The stars, which are, let me get my marker, these round here, they never set. Whoops. They never set, and these are the south ones, never set. This is a model of how it works, and I'll just let this run for 1 second. So they're going counterclockwise in the north. Clockwise in the south. Now, the problem with the flat Earth is, where is the southern circumpolar stars? Because when you look south from Australia and south from South Africa and south from South America, you see exactly the same stars. And indeed, because South Africa, say someone in Cape Town and somebody in Perth, it's nighttime at the same time, they're seeing the same stars by looking south. So is that south? Why is that south? And then what happens to the people in South America seeing the same stars? So what I want Witsit to do is explain that when we don't see the stars travel this way at all, we see no lateral movement of the stars whatsoever. How do they get round to the south of the other place? Now, this is flight times. This is Perth to Johannesburg. That's 11 hours and 30 minutes. And Boston to Honolulu, 11 hours and 15 minutes. Now, they're roughly the same amount of time. Now, that's how it's displayed on a flat Earth map. Why is this the same flight time? This is the most ridiculous thing. This is the same flight time, and apparently one is a lot further than the other. On any flat Earth map you want to look, because when you extend the southern hemisphere out on a flat Earth, it automatically takes that long. Now, this is a video of a ship. Oops. I have to start this. How do I start this? Sorry, I do apologize. Just 1 second. Yeah, so this is the Golden Princess. It's a massive cruise ship. It's got a length of 290 meters, 17 floors high. It weighs over 100,000 tons. Now, as it goes out, now, I really want you to see this. This is ships going beyond the horizon. Whoops. I'll just, oh God, all right. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. So keep an eye on those lower decks as it goes out further and further and further. So as it goes out, it basically will vanish below the horizon. Okay, see the lower decks are almost obstructed now. And then when you go to a higher elevation and zoom back in, the lower decks are back. Why does this happen if that's perfectly flat? Why does that happen? That they were obstructed, the guy gets a higher elevation, and suddenly, like magic, they're back. And that's all one continuous shot. And as it continues to go out, it vanishes again. How is that happening on a flat plane? That's what I'd like Austin to answer. These are lunar eclipses around the world. I think Austin's seen this one before. Why is it always circular? No matter what angle it's seen from, no matter what position, it's always circular. The only thing that's circular from any position, any orientation is a globe. What are lunar eclipses on a flat Earth? Because on a flat Earth, the Earth can't come between the sun and the moon. So what is a lunar eclipse on a flat Earth? What is causing this on a flat Earth? This is a diagram of how the lunar eclipse works. So on a flat Earth, this scenario would never happen. So how does it happen on a flat Earth? And I do want specificity of how that is occurring. So those are the questions. Circumpolar stars, why do they rotate in different directions? Why are they directly above the North and South Pole? Why do ships vanish from the bottom up when moving far away? And why does elevation bring them back into view? Why does the shadow from a lunar eclipse always appear round no matter what location or orientation it's viewed in? And how do lunar eclipses happen at all on a flat Earth? Thank you.
All right, excellent. If that's everything there, stop the screen share there. Are you able to stop the screen share? Let me just
Yeah, probably. Why isn't it? Yeah, sorry,
right.
my bad.
It's all right. I was gonna say I could have stopped it on my end, but I'll just put an eye on the live chat. And I did hear in the live chat that I had you guys backwards. So there, I got it fixed now. So with that there, thank you, Mark, for your opening
Thank you.
statement there and your video presentation there. Just to let everybody know, Modern Day Debate is a neutral debate platform. I am your host this evening. My name is Ryan. We are hosting debates on science, religion, and we do hope you feel welcome no matter what walk of life you're from. Especially when we're talking about our controversial subjects. So, with that opening there, Mark, we're going to kick it over to Austin, and he's going to be defending the flat Earth this evening. So, with that, Austin, the floor is all yours. Oh, all right. Just 1 second here. You're muted. That's my bad.
Cool. I'm gonna also share screen if that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, there we go. Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, cool. Oh, I just moved it. Okay, cool. All right. So asking why the southern star trails turn the other way in the southern quote unquote hemisphere is like a flat earth 101 question. But anyway, when you look in different directions, it changes orientation, just like a 6 and a 9, just like being on the other side of a road when cars pass you, they'll look like they're going the other way. This is just an objective characteristic of perspective. In addition, we have something called the azimuthal grid of vision. So thanks, Walter, for the model here. You can see that we have an azimuthal grid of vision. It's called an arc of vision. That's how we see things. So we have a limit to our perspective, and in fact, it converges down and curves into that limit of perspective. This can be proven with railroad tracks. Of course, they are tangibly parallel, but our perspective shows the optical convergence because we have curved visual space. Now, what normally happens is globe proponents will deny that we have an azimuthal grid of vision, but unfortunately for them, they cannot, because we have something called anti-crepuscular rays that we can actually see 180 degrees behind us during, let me actually just type that in right now. And it's directly behind the sun. So this will be seen 180 degrees behind us when the sun's in front of us. Okay. So the globe Earth's explanation for this is that we have a circular limit of view and there's an optical bending of light causing the illusion that these parallel rays are actually behind us. bending up. So the globe Earth requires an azimuthal grid of vision to explain anti-crepuscular rays. Well, that's convenient because once you have the acknowledgement of the azimuthal grid of vision, as you can see here, it explains everything on the plane, literally all observations. So right here, like he's explaining, we're in the south. Well, you see how it looks when you see the motion of the stars in the south. You see right here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but it shows you the optical convergence around a singular point right here. Now, he pointed out that it's higher in the north and the south. In fact, it should be symmetrical on the globe. That's actually a debunk of the globe, but it makes perfect sense on a flat Earth because as you go further out, that's where it drops down. So this is an azimuthal grid of vision. Of course, he pretended that you could see the stars from each continent as if you could see them at the same time. Well, it's nighttime at different times for those places, and they don't see the stars at the same location or angle in their sky. So it's just a blatant straw man. This also explains the optical appearance of eclipses, equinoxes, the direction the sun and moon rise, and what direction those stars are observed in the south. All of it is perfectly explained irrefutably with the azimuthal grid of vision, which is provable. Another thing that Mark likes to bring up is Lake Pontchartrain. Now, here's an actual picture of Lake Pontchartrain, one of the longest bridges in the United States, the longest bridge in the United States, I believe. I've driven on it, incredibly flat, basically in the water. I drove all across the whole thing multiple times. And then they show this picture and claim that it's curving, and this proves the curvature of the Earth. Now, of course, hilariously, if this proved the curvature of the Earth would have to be like 1/5 of the size they claim the Earth is. And this is the actual picture of it. But they claim that this, looking through the atmosphere, having optical compression, proves the Earth's a ball, but it would actually prove the Earth is a ball with like really way less radius than 1/5 of the claimed radius of the globe. Never get a rebuttal to the fact that if this shows Earth curvature, then the Earth has to be way smaller. It's always ignored. He brought up boats disappearing and how you can go higher and see the boat, and that should be impossible. Here is, of course, time lapse of horizon. You can see the horizon goes up and down due to something called refraction, atmospheric conditions. And of course, if you go higher on a flat Earth, well, you're going higher above the ground. You're going to have a horizon on the flat Earth, despite some people claiming you wouldn't for whatever reason, because you have both the sky and the ground. And you would never see either all the sky or all the ground. So you would have to have the location where it appears that the sky meets the ground, which is the definition of the horizon. We can see right here, this is not Earth curvature because the Earth is not breathing in and out. This is not a physical, tangible, geometric horizon. This is an optical appearance of what is called a horizon, an apparent horizon. That's what horizons are. The Earth is not doing yoga, stretching, breathing in and out right here. It's just optics. As I go higher into a less dense corridor of vision so that I'm not being obstructed or occluded by the atmosphere anymore so I can begin to see the boat again, and I'm higher above what causes the optical convergence of the ground. Now, for a flat Earth evidence that will be almost assuredly ignored, there's something called ground wave radio transmission, ground wave propagation. So you have sky wave propagation and ground wave propagation. So they say that skywave propagation bounces off the ionosphere and comes back down to the Earth because Marconi shot at 2,200 miles and the curvature of the Earth predicts to be blocked at 200 miles. He shot at 2,200 miles, first time success perfectly. All his attractors said he couldn't do it. It'd get blocked at 200 miles. So that's when they quote unquote discovered the ionosphere, was because they needed it, or the globe Earth was immediately refuted because he used horizontal line of sight propagation over the Earth, over bodies of water, 2,200 miles successfully. After that, he actually shot one 10,000 miles. We do that frequently nowadays. So they say the skywave propagations bounce off the ionosphere. Unfortunately for them, they cannot claim that for ground wave propagation. They claim that that cannot bounce off the ionosphere. Well, here's a military document showing that they actually shoot ground wave high frequency propagation on the Earth. And that right here, if you look at about 800 kilometers, they will actually pick up the signal a few percent of the time. Well, how high are they up? They are 3 meters up. So 3 meters up, a 3-meter antenna, that's just about 10 feet. They will pick up the ground wave horizontal line of sight propagation over 800 kilometers away, which is 497 miles, which would have 32 miles of vertical Earth curvature blocking the horizontal transmission. Yet they actually can pick it up over 500 miles away. This completely debunks the globe. There is no explanation. So there you go. Hopefully someone will actually address why we have ground wave propagation. They won't bring up the ionosphere because I just explained why they cannot. And they'll try to explain to me how radio transmission can horizontally go through 32 miles of vertical Earth curvature and just go through the Earth and be received 800 kilometers away. I think that's, and he asked about eclipses. Like, yeah, like I said, the azimuthal grid of vision explains the location. We use the Sero cycle for many years now to even know how they work. And the base foundation of prediction for NASA is the Sero cycle. They also use an ECEF, an Earth-centered, Earth-fixed coordinate system, to actually even figure out when the eclipses will happen or where they will happen. And let me close with this. There seems to be this misnomer that if someone can come up with any question they think that can't be explained on flat Earth, or someone doesn't know the answer to, that automatically flat Earth becomes wrong and globe Earth becomes true. Well, if that's the case, then if I can ask any question the globe can't explain, then globe Earth is no longer true and flat Earth becomes true. That's a very illogical way to go about it. Can you explain how the magnetic field of the globe is not symmetrical? What sustains the magnetic field of the globe? Can you explain how the core is going slower than the outside of the Earth's surface? Like, I can ask 500 questions that the globe admittedly has no answer to. That isn't how logic works. If you ask a question about the sky that you think we can't come up with an answer, that doesn't somehow prove your fantastical disproved claim. So that's my conclusion. Hopefully someone can explain how horizontal wave propagation over a globe Earth could possibly exist. And thank you.
There, maybe you can hear me now. Excellent. If you want to stop the screen share, see, I went through the effort of turning up my mic preamp because everybody wanted me to be louder, and now I'm so loud that, that I forgot to turn myself back on. So if you want to stop screen sharing there, we'll move into our cross-examination.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, I thought that was a rebuttal period that I didn't get. That wasn't really an introduction.
That's all right. So a little bit of housekeeping here.
That's okay. Kind of dishonest. It's fine.
It's fine. So yeah, all these debates that you're seeing here on the channel, they are uploaded to podcast forum within 24 hours of live stream. And also, we do have a Q&A that's going to be happening at the end. So if you want to ask any of our speakers a question, just remember to remain respectful and to attack the argument and not the person on screen. So with that, we'll kick it over to Mark here to ask Austin some questions in our
Sure.
examination.
Yep. Austin, could you provide the deviance of the azimuthal grid of vision that shows that you can see the circumpolar southern stars from Perth and from, say, Cape Town, where a friend of mine lives?
Can I show you? Can I provide the what? The declination?
The variation in angle for the azimuthal field of vision. Because, I mean, the angles that you're showing there would not reach from one to the other.
What? Wait, what? Is based on each
Well, could
observer.
you provide your calculations and angles for the azimuthal field of vision between South Africa and Australia?
You want me to drop it in the chat?
You want me to drop the model in the chat? You can just read it out if you want.
No. I'll drop the model in the chat.
So you can't answer that. You can't answer. Okay. Well, let's move on then, because you can't answer that. You said that there's
wait.
No. I mean,
no, wait. Are you denying azimuthal grid of vision?
No, but the angles that you're sort of saying that the southern hemisphere places should see the stars at the same time are way larger than any provided by that like that grid of vision. Way larger.
Wait, what
There's
are the
no
angles?
way that azimuthal. The angles.
You just said that you knew the angles were way larger. So what are they?
Yeah. So the angles are easily above 60 degrees or so.
Hmm. The azimuthal grid of vision. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's the way that the appearance of the angle that we're seeing something varies depending on the perspective that we're seeing it in.
And you agree it's a real thing?
Yeah, but you can't just say azimuthal field of vision and expect that to hand wave magically explain everything. You've got to show with calculations how the azimuthal grid of vision actually gives you that deviation that you're expecting. Because just saying azimuthal field of vision would mean like me saying, well, nuclear decay of atoms. It doesn't mean anything without you actually backing it up with some substance.
Right. That's why I said, thanks, Walter. Every single calculation, every position, every angle of the stars are built into the model, into the azimuthal grid. Okay. Every single position.
So that model shows definitively that azimuthal field of vision will cover both Australia and Africa, South Africa.
Yeah, because they see the stars in different places in the sky, and they don't see them at all three places at the same time.
I'm sorry, they're different places in the sky.
What?
They're different places in the sky.
You didn't know that?
So they're seeing two different sets of circumpolar stars. Is that right?
No, that's a straw man fallacy. Do you
Well,
think
then if they're seeing different stars in different places, what are you talking about?
Who said different stars?
You said they were in different places.
Yeah. Do you think they're at the exact same angle of observation from each location?
No.
Okay, so they're in different places in the sky.
Yes, but that would mean that
Right.
the azimuthal field of vision would have to deviate by about 60 to 90 degrees. How does that happen? Where are your calculations for that?
I'll drop you the entire model. Have you ever looked at Walter Bislin's
Okay.
model? Okay.
I can look at it, but from what you showed on the screen, that model didn't cover Australia and South Africa at the same time.
Well, someone can't see stars from those two places at the same time. Only one observer can make an observation at one time.
No.
That grid is showing
each
individual observer.
You know that South Africa and Australia can both be nighttime at the same time. I can call up somebody in Cape Town, a buddy in Cape Town, and we can see the circumpolar stars at the same time. And it's weird that you said, oh, they have different times for different places, because, yeah, that's how our system works. You realize that we're in different times, right, Austin? But we're talking to one another.
I had to tell you that. You seem to think that there was nighttime at all three positions because you looked at a 2015.
I didn't say all three.
You're interrupting every time I talk, Mark.
Well, you're misrepresenting me.
Get a little impulse control, man. So, okay, you brought up the three positions as if they could see them at the same time. That's a 2015 easily debunked anti-flat Earth meme. But that's the only reason I pointed out it's nighttime, different times for those people. That's how the Earth works. And the point that I made about them, it's not whether or not they can see the stars. Sure, two of those people can see the stars around the same time because it begins to get dark at one of the places at the same time. Sure. But they see the stars in different positions in the sky. The azimuthal grid represents each observer looking in the southern direction, seeing the stars. And when you map it out, it all matches perfectly with that azimuthal grid.
Okay, so that's hilarious because you misrepresented me. I never said all three at the same time, so you're just lying about that. I said, I specifically kept saying Australia and Cape Town because both of them, you can be nighttime at the same time. One is early morning, one is late night, or early night. Sorry, one is early morning. Basically, the thing that you showed did not have that azimuthal grid of vision showing over both South Africa and Australia. So your own model debunks you.
You still don't understand it.
Hey, excuse me, I'm still addressing your points. Now, I never said that it basically you never told me how time zones work, Austin. I'm aware that it's different times at here and where you are, and it is the same time. So I don't know why you're sort of trying to say, oh, well, I never said, oh, I told you it was different time. No, come on. You just said it's different times for each of those places. If I am talking directly to a person there, it doesn't matter. It's the same time regardless of what your clock says. And that's a basic... I don't know why you don't understand that and have to go, well, I explained that to you. It's ridiculous.
You want me to share the screen again since you don't seem to get
share it. Go for it.
Is that cool if I share the screen? Because he doesn't seem to understand it.
Sure, we can definitely do that. Just give me 1 second here. Once again, I've changed my mic, so let me know if my audio is coming through now. Yeah. All right, so everybody, just let me get your screen share up there. And there, you guys are welcome to go through that as you please. Just let me know when you're ready to stop sharing.
Okay, cool. Mark, you see how this is one single observer. This would be another observer. This would be another
go
observer.
around to Australia. Yeah. So when you're looking south, so when you're looking south on that, right? So south, right? You're seeing the circumpolar stars at both locations. So you're trying to say that, hey, if Australia looks west, and Cape Town, say, looks east, you see the same stars. Yeah, that's true. But they're looking south. So how does that work? It doesn't cover both.
The model, Mark.
I see the model.
Understand the model.
I see the model. Like I don't. The azimuthal field of vision has look at the angle that field of vision is going into. It's almost a what? 270-degree angle that is apparently perspective is changing. you have to demonstrate that it will actually do that with calculations. You can't just say, hey, here's a model where our vision flips round 270 degrees in order to make my flat Earth dream a reality.
Okay, you don't
provide some calculations that it does actually do this.
It's the same exact visual curved space for both observers. You see, if you look to the left from here, you have the same curve as if you look to the right from here. It's the same degree of visual curved space.
If
you don't
that
seem
was
to
the
understand
case,
it. I'll send
if
you.
that was the
I'll
case,
send you the
excuse me,
model.
if that was the case, then I should be able to see the stars in the northern hemisphere, including Polaris, and I don't. Why is that, Austin?
Oh, so now that you've been debunked,
No,
I'm
no,
gonna stop
put
screen
it back
share.
round to Australia. Look, that one you can see the stars in the northern. Oh yeah, okay, get rid of it real quick.
Oh, no,
and you can
okay.
see
Now
the
I have to
stars
reshare it because you're just gaslighting. Like somehow you've shown you don't even understand it.
We can reshare if you'd like.
I guess
Yeah,
so. Since
reshare.
he wants to act
Please.
like I
Yeah.
ran.
No, reshare. No, go for it.
Okay, no problem.
So you can see with this, the 270-degree angle that these are bending in, you can see the stars in the higher portions of the northern hemisphere. But in Australia, in the southern hemisphere, I can't see those stars, right? Those stars I will never be able to see. And if this model was true, I should be able to see the circumpolar stars in the northern hemisphere too, which I will never see from the position I am in the southern hemisphere. This model doesn't work.
This is awesome.
Yeah, well, explain that.
I'm going
why
to.
Can...
This is hilarious.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so just so you understand, this is using stellarium data. This is using actual stellarium data based on the different locations. It factors in what stars are observable from the actual locations on the Earth using the same data you use to map out your Earth model. That's why it doesn't show all the northern stars. It just shows the further ones out. And yes, believe it or not, in the southern hemisphere, you can see stars from the north, which actually debunks your belief system. But you guys claim it's refraction. And we can actually see Polaris below the equator. And you guys claim that it's refraction. So as I move this forward towards the North Pole, oh, look, I'm starting to see more of the northern stars, Mark. This is stellarium data. So if you're disagreeing with that, then you're disagreeing with stellarium data. So obviously, I'm going to stop sharing now. I'll drop you the link.
Okay. So why can't you see the circumpolar stars from the northern hemisphere then?
Okay, so that's why I stopped sharing. It wasn't to run away.
The
it's because you're changing the
circumpolar star. No, I'm not changing the subject. It's that model doesn't work because at the angles, if azimuthal field of view was actually happening, the grid of vision was happening, you should be able to see the northern circumpolar stars from that model when you're looking south of all things, like the way that it bends 270 degrees. And what's really telling is you can't give any kind of fixational points or any kind of calculation under the azimuthal grid of vision in order to calculate that 270-degree angle of deviance from straight line would actually happen.
Yes, we can. It's all built into the model.
Go for it.
I even explained to you that within your own model, we have 180-degree anti-crepuscular rays that your model has to explain. So if the sun goes under the horizon of the Earth, and as it's going under the horizon, I see anti-crepuscular rays 180 degrees the other way. How does that work on the globe, Mark?
Well, we don't see anti-crepuscular waves coming in the other direction. So that's why, because it's not a 270-degree field of view. It's not. What it is you're seeing the rays come. Where does the rays come from?
They come from all over, and at times
no.
See them from 180
when you put the sun behind you and the rays are coming up, where are the rays? Are they coming from in front of you?
You see how you just didn't ask the question? Now you're asking me questions. So on your model, the sun goes below the horizon. Okay. And if I'm looking at the sun go below the horizon because it looks like it's moving, but it's not, and we're falling backwards and it makes the sun look like it's moving, and then it goes behind the curve of the Earth, like you believe, then why do I see the anti-crepuscular rays directly behind me? That's the question.
You don't.
We do. So you're just saying, nuh-uh?
No, it's just you see them coming from under, like where the sun has gone behind the horizon. Yes,
Incorrect.
you do, Austin.
Okay, you're wrong, and you need to research it. So if
No,
I'm right,
so
are you saying that
nah
would
is your response?
No, you said nah. Everyone can Google it right now, and they're going to know live time I'm right. So are you saying that if anticorpuscular rays show up somewhere other than the location of the sun, it debunks the globe?
No, I did not say that. I
And
did
how
not
would it
say
work on
that.
a globe?
What I'm saying is that when the sun goes behind the horizon, you do not see the rays originating from the other direction, Austin. It gets dark over there.
You thought you were slick by saying originating, but we see anticorpuscular rays without seeing the originating source. We see the rays that appear to diverge from a singular point, all in the sky, different places, and sometimes we see them directly 180 degrees. How would that work on the globe?
That is so dishonest, because what we are talking about is the location of the star, which is the origin point of the light. So when you're saying anticorpuscular rays, we can see them behind you, you are saying, in trying to be analogous with those stars, that they are originating from behind you, which they don't. You are basically making a false analogy and trying to say because rays travel and diffuse all over the place as anticorpuscular rays, that they originate from where the light is. No,
like
they don't,
Googling
Austin.
it or something? You're like lifetime
is
Googling
this
it.
like Ryan, I just got to check, is this my question time or is this his question time? Like, seriously.
You're clearly Googling it.
What seems to have happened is it seems
I,
like you guys have gone
Austin,
into
you are so dishonest. Anticorpuscular rays do not originate. These stars, their origin point of the light is in the southern circumpolar stars. The origin of their light is around that pole and around the North Pole. You are absolutely not giving any information about it and hand waving it away with anticorpuscular rays. No, the two things are not even similar. You're making excuses.
Well, if you would have been able to articulate a coherent answer in response to the question, then it would have connected. But
provide
you
your calculations.
Provide
your calculations. Provide your calculations.
I dropped the model in the chat. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check. Okay, here's the model in the chat.
Why don't you know this? I thought you were an expert on this.
Here's the model
Austin,
in the chat.
I thought you were an expert.
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, and it changes for every. It's stellarium data. Okay, but the point is that if you could answer the question, you'd understand the relevance, which is that even on the globe Earth model, right, in order to explain things like anticorpuscular rays, we have to invoke a circular limit of vision that causes the optical illusion of anticorpuscular rays. Now, if we have an azimuthal grid of vision that causes the illusion of anticorpuscular rays, even for the globe Earth to be able to explain them, then you cannot hand wave, dismiss, and deny azimuthal grid of vision. Now, you didn't, but what you don't seem to realize is if you accept that, which you have to, then we have an azimuthal grid of vision on a plane Earth as well. And now it explains all celestial phenomena, including the equinox, the direction of the sun and the moon rise and set, and all the positions of the stars and the southern star trails. It explains all of it.
Okay? No, it doesn't, because you can't even create you can't even give any kind of calculations or any kind of evidence that this would actually happen, that you would look one direction, you would look south. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is what Austin is saying, that you look south, your vision goes 270 degrees behind you, and you see stars from a different direction while you're looking in one direction. I mean, how gullible does Austin think you are? Like, this is ridiculous. And then he's trying to say, oh, but if you look that way, you'll see the stars up there, but you won't see the specific stars that you're not supposed to see. And the way that this is bending things is just incredible. He's got no evidence for this at all. It's all just claims and doing a model which is as bent and crooked as he is.
And this is what's so funny. That's called ad hominems, because you didn't make a substantive argument, but you can't. It's okay. But
yeah,
you said that I was
all
lying.
The time.
You said I was lying by claiming.
What we can do here is where we've gotten into a bit of open discussion, but it's been mainly Mark seeming to ask you questions about your model. We can shift gears here, and we'll let Austin kind of take the reins and ask the questions about your opening arguments there. And you're more than
Go for
welcome
it.
to share your screen again and whatever graphs you might want
Okay,
to
sure.
specifically address. That's fine by me.
All right, I gotta address this stuff. So like, it's not me lying or thinking people are gullible to say that the light can be perceived to be optically bending due to vision in curved space, because even on the globe Earth, if the sun is going down away from me straight ahead, but I can see anti-crepuscular rays behind me, then that means you have to invoke the same thing. I've said that 5 times. So the
It'll
only
be seeing the
people, the
sun
only
behind
person
you.
pretending the audience is gullible is if you convincingly enough gaslight the other person, somehow your point becomes true. Okay, so we can
No,
shift to
it would
whatever
be
new
seeing
topic.
the sun behind you. If you're basically arguing that you look one direction and see the sun behind you when it's setting over the other side, it's ridiculous.
Never said that.
Well, that's what you're implying.
All right, so
Okay,
let's
you'll
try to
get there.
move into some focus questions here. So, Austin, if you could ask him a question about his model there,
Sure.
and then we'll give him up to a minute to explain what he feels about your question there. Okay.
Cool. So if we have a 3-meter tall antenna, so roughly 10 feet, and I shoot a horizontal line of sight, high frequency, ground wave propagation, radio
That's not
transmission.
about my opening, Ryan. That's not about my opening at all.
Well, if it is this chance.
If he just wants to ask random questions about radio waves, I can. So, all right.
Well, we'll see.
Go on, Austin. Ask
Bring
a
it,
question.
if it can come full circle, that's fine.
Sure.
As long as it is relating to what was part of Mark's
Okay,
opening.
sure.
Oh yeah, in Mark's opening, he claimed the Earth was a globe, and what that means is that the Earth is curving. And so I'm asking how that's the case if I have a 10-foot tall antenna and I shoot a radio transmission 500 miles that can't bounce off the ionosphere, and it's a horizontal line of sight. There should be 30 miles of Earth curvature blocking the horizontal transmission. How am I able to receive it from 500 miles away?
Yes, so it's because of long wave radiation. Do you know how long wave radiation works?
Well, I know you just Googled it, so please enlighten me.
I didn't just Google it. I was just checking on something.
Yes,
I want to make sure I'm giving the right information, unlike you, Austin. So that's called a ad hominem. You might recognize that, Austin. So basically, long wave radiation diffuses as it goes. So it broadens as it goes, basically. This is how long wave radiation works. And if you knew anything about radio transmission, you would know this. So as it travels, it broadens and therefore can hit a much larger spectrum than short wave radiation, which is very tight bandwidth. Do you understand?
That doesn't actually explain how the horizontal transmission can go physically through physical obstruction. It diffusing and widening out doesn't explain how it would horizontally propagate through 30 miles of vertical obstruction.
It doesn't propagate through it. It travels and then it broadens out. So when the Earth curves, it travels and broadens out. Do you understand?
I understand that you don't comprehend that doesn't actually fix the problem, because if it broadens out, the Earth's curvature still blocks the bottom part of the waves. So the top part of the waves are just going to keep going up. You have 30 miles blocking the horizontal propagation. It cannot be received on the ground 800 kilometers away.
You don't understand how communications in long wave radio transmissions works, do you?
Well, I actually know the globe Earth answer. And you haven't said it
out. So. If part of the wave is blocked, does it make it untransmissible?
It makes it unreceivable from 800 kilometers away on the ground. Yeah, I know the globe Earth answer, and that is not it. That is not it.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't actually make it untransmissible, Austin.
I didn't say that.
It doesn't.
I didn't say that.
You just said that if it's partially blocked, it makes it untrans. Isn't that what you just said?
No.
Oh, really? Oh, just everybody misheard for some reason. No,
oh, just you.
No. Oh, really?
You want me to repeat
what
I
said? I said, if it's partially blocked, is it untransmissible? And you said yes.
Wrong.
Is that okay? So what did you say?
I'll say it word for word. I said it's not receivable on the ground from 800 kilometers away.
Yes, it is. That's how wave propagation works.
Really? You want me to tell you how the globe Earth's official answer is?
No, not really. I don't care.
Oh, you don't
Like,
even want to know. I
Austin,
thought
you
didn't
just
want to
want to
mislead people.
straw man. That's all you're trying to do. You're just straw manning is what you're doing.
Okay,
That's
the
all you're
globe
doing. Now, do you
plans.
have a question, or are you just going to sit there and rant some more?
You didn't answer the
Do you have a
question. This
question?
debunks the
I
globe.
answered the question. You just don't like the answer. What is your next question?
Wait, how does dispersal explain it if there's 30 miles of Earth curvature blocking the horizontal propagation? If it
That's what
disperses
long wave
out,
radiation does.
Just
Long
to
wave
interrupt here, I'm
radiation,
so sorry,
like
gentlemen.
seriously.
Mark, if we could just let him ask his question there, and once he's finished asking, if we could give Mark up to a minute to answer, that would be good. Just without any interruptions. If you could ask your question there, Austin, and then we'll let you answer it in full there, Mark. Okay?
sure.
Yep.
So if it's dispersing out, right? Like the idea is that it's widening. Now, all radio wave propagation works like that. It all widens. Okay. But if you have 30 miles of Earth curvature blocking the horizontal propagation, well, you have 30 miles of that transmission blocked. Okay. So yes, it's going to widen out from the second it leaves its antenna. That's how radio waves work. But you have 30 miles that's going to obstruct the radio transmission. So if I come over here on the other side of that 30 vertical miles, right? There's going to be 30 miles that
is
have
this a
been
question or is this a statement? Because he's not asking a question.
Well,
You're just trying to censor me,
right
basically.
to set up an example here, right quick. As long as you do end up with a question there, Austin.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. So okay, so it would still be blocking 30 miles of it. You would be on the other side of this 30 vertical miles of obstruction. So how would it dispersing and widening somehow answer how on the ground we can receive the radio transmission 800 kilometers away?
So for a start, it's not on the ground, it's a tower, and you gave the example of a tower yourself, so it does have some elevation. As it travels, it disperses, and you acknowledge this, so the curvature is not a problem. There is no problem with that, and that's how ground wave radiation works, radio waves work. The whole idea that this is a problem, really the problem is for flat Earth, because there is a limit to ground wave transmission, as though there isn't really one there is one for bouncing it off the ionosphere, but that is a much larger distance. So why, the question you should be asking yourself is, why does it end at all? Why is our distance ending at all? If this is just a flat plane with nothing in the way, and we know the attenuation rates, and we know how far it takes for radio waves to drop off, why does it end at all? And Witsit doesn't want to address this, but it's just because of how long wave radiation works in its dispersal that the Earth's curvature is not a problem for it, because it does take that into account. And, Boston wants to hand wave it away and, get caught up on this, but that's essentially how it works.
Okay.
All right,
so basically,
go ahead. Yeah. I was going to say, if you want to ask another question there.
Well, I just want to kind of address that. He basically just said, he's insinuating that, well, why would it ever stop on a flat Earth? There should be nothing stopping it, which means he's insinuating that, well, since the Earth's a globe, it stops the radio waves, and that's why they can't go. But then he turns around and says that the ground Earth doesn't stop the radio waves from going super far. So he just blatantly contradicted himself. But the answer is not that it spreads out. That isn't the globe Earth answer. Okay. So if we send the radio wave, right? And then you ask, why wouldn't it go forever on a flat Earth? But then you brought up attenuation. So we have attenuation of radio waves. Attenuation is the absorption rate of the atmos. Okay. So signals get absorbed into the atmos. Topographical obstruction and attenuation is why we can't shoot radio waves infinitely relative to their frequency, how high or low they are. Okay. And the higher frequencies don't go as far as the lower frequencies, typically speaking. And the attenuation is going to stop it. So we have something called a radio horizon. That's how far on an average it goes. And it's actually further than the geometric Earth horizon of the globe. The radio horizon is further than that. And we know that oftentimes, I'm almost done. Oftentimes it goes much further than the radio horizon. This is well known.
Yeah, so the reason why it goes much further than radio horizon is because we bounce it off the ionosphere. Witsit at the moment is basically, he's meshing up skywave with ground wave and just sort of meshing up the two to try and get away from it. So radio waves, once it actually passes a certain amount of degrees of curvature, it cannot diffuse anymore. Like, there is a blockage as of that point that Austin desperately wants to ignore. So I didn't contradict myself at all. What I'm saying is that it can diffuse to a certain angle around the Earth, and then it can't, because it cannot go back on itself, like Austin's weird vision of seeing stars that are in the opposite direction. Yeah, attenuation is a thing, but there's nothing under the calculations of attenuation. And maybe you can give those calculations, attenuation calculations that are very well established in decibels, yes, that shows that it would pass, like it would attenuate before hitting, like, 8,000, I think it was 8,000 miles you said was ground wave. Maybe you could give those calculations in decibels. Maybe give the attenuation rates over how strong the signal shall be over different distances to show that it wouldn't travel over flat Earth. Can you give those, Austin?
Radio wave attenuation. You think I have the equation memorized on the top of my head as you frantically Google to respond to everything I say off the top of my head? No, I don't know the radio wave attenuation. I don't know the radio wave. I don't know the radio wave attenuation rate equation off the top of my head, nor do you. And if you know it right now, it's because you're looking down at a piece of paper continually. So I don't need to know what it is. It's a well-known fact. It's a well-known fact. Attenuation rate of. You didn't answer the question. It doesn't matter. The reason that things don't go infinitely far, which is an ignorant idea, is because radio waves attenuate. Right? We have an attenuation rate and topographical obstruction. This causes skip zones. We have attenuation rate and topographical obstruction far beyond the curvature of the Earth, which is called the geometric horizon. We have something called the radio horizon, and it goes way further than the radio horizon often. We have beat this to death. Anyone that wants to actually research it can, So if you want me to move on to another question.
I agree we beat it to death. I agree with that. We beat it to death.
You didn't answer. It's okay.
I never said infinitely far. That is a straw man, Austin. I never said infinitely far. And in fact, I was the one that brought up attenuation. So that's just a straw man.
Why does it stop
the reason why I'm looking at a piece of paper is because I'm taking notes. Maybe you should as well. Don't know, because you keep misunderstanding and misrepresenting what I'm saying. So maybe you should be a bit more accurate and clarifying what is the opponent's actually saying. But I do agree that we've beaten this to death. So maybe you can explain the boat going over the horizon. Maybe you can explain that one.
Did you hear my answer? Austin? What was my answer?
I did, yeah.
Can you repeat it? Can you still man it?
Still man your answer?
Yeah.
That attenuation drops off over a distance and it cannot go infinitely far, which is a straw man of my position.
No. Well, you said, like, you should ask yourself on a flat Earth why it would ever stop at all. Okay, but I'm actually talking about the radio, the boat. You changed the subject to the boat, which is cool. We can move on. Brought up the boat. I said,
I think we should. This is going nowhere.
Okay, I agree.
What I asked was for your calculations of the attenuation rates, which you've been doing this for years, Austin. You have been doing this for ages.
It is his chance to be mainly asking you questions. I don't mind a little back and forth here, but it is mainly his chance to ask you questions, where you did have almost 16 minutes of grilling him on his models there. So
sure.
We're gonna let him,
my apologies. Go for it.
Keep addressing your model there. So with that, Austin, we'll kick it back to you.
Okay. So yeah, I think the ground wave and sky wave difference is very interesting. People should look into that because ground wave doesn't bounce off the atmosphere. Another question is, how come on the globe Earth, which claims that the magnetic field called the geomagnetic field, it comes from something called the geodynamo model, which originates around the core, specifically the outer core. Why does it predict symmetry of the magnetic field? But on the Earth, we see that the Earth's magnetic field actually is not symmetrical to such an extent that in the south, we have the magnetic field being up to 35% weaker. So how does that work if on a sphere it should be entirely symmetrical?
Yeah, so this is sort of just basically changing the topic. Topic is flat Earth. Do you think you could stick to the topic, please? This is sort of electrodynamics on a globe Earth, which... I mean, kudos for coming up with a random, vague and sort of not associated with the topic at all. But do you think you could stick to the topic?
Well, I was asking about your model. That is the topic. Is it the Earth a globe or is it flat?
What, dynamo model?
Yeah, that's the globe Earth model.
Yeah. So I'm aware that it's dynamo model. It's a iron core, and that is the best available model at the time for how it works. I know that there's fluctuations within the magnetosphere of the Earth, and that will lead to reversal upon occasion. But you've brought up some random topic, not even to do with flat Earth. So could you stick to flat Earth?
Well, this does have to do with the flat
No. Stick to flat Earth. Stick to flat Earth. Go. What's your question about flat Earth?
I'm just going to interject here. We are getting near to the end of what we would have for cross-examination. we are good to maybe just wrap up this one last question here, where it is a question related to the globe model, and then we'll move into the Q&A here. So we're going to try to, if we can, focus on the model that you presented in your opening versus what he's presented, and let him ask his last question there, if that's okay. I'm sorry if I feel like I'm picking on you there, Mark. Yeah, we just had a long time of
No, it's just like the model for the dynamo model is the prevalent model among physicists at the moment. Now, I'm not a physicist, right? So this is what Austin does. He brings up topics that are so niche that you don't know how they work, kind of thing. Now, I'm aware that there is a solid iron core surrounded by a magma that creates, by the spinning of the rotation of the Earth, it creates a dynamo effect. Now, scientists are unsure of exactly how this works, because scientists, unlike Austin, don't just grab a name, call it something, and call it a day. They actually have to have calculations about what they're doing. So it's a tentative model based upon our understanding of what's beneath the surface of the Earth. And perhaps Austin can show me his calculations of what is causing this on a flat Earth. Maybe he can share with us all of the calculations and all of the equations that he is doing to show that the electric field of the Earth is being produced by something else. Can you show that, Austin?
This is what's called a reversal of the burden of proof fallacy. So I am simply critiquing the positive claim that the Earth is a sphere that has a core. He said that it's iron, nickel, that creates the magnetic field. It is not. It is actually not the core that creates the magnetic field. It's the outer core, because the core didn't work because of something called the Curie point, and those metals lose their magnetic capabilities at a certain temperature. The core has to be hotter than that temperature, so they moved it to the outer core. I was bringing it up because we can compare the plain Earth to the globe Earth very efficiently with this specific topic, because on a flat Earth, you would have the center of the magnetic field in the North Pole region. And then as you move out towards the south, it would be expected that the magnetic field would get weaker, because then you would get to the edge, right? And then you would get back to where the magnetic field should get stronger. And of course, we perceive the top half of the toroid live on the block domain wall, or the inertial plane in the middle, and then the bottom half would be underneath us. So the data matches a plane Earth significantly better than the dynamo model, which admittedly can't explain what sustains it, can't explain why it's not symmetrical, can't explain what the core is made of, can't explain exactly what why the convection currents would be considered perfect when they cannot be, cannot explain why it's a 50,000 or 50,000 times difference with the strength of the magnetic field between the core and the surface, can't explain the variance, can't explain the reversal periods, all kinds of stuff. It's crazy. Their magnetic field model doesn't work at all. And for me to question
Can you give me
model,
the calculations on your model, please, for the magnetic field? Can you give me the calculations and equations for it, please? Just drop them in chat.
I could
Just
probably make one, yeah, but I'm just
well, you're
pointing out,
making all kinds of claims. Give me a link or something to them.
I would have to make the model myself, but you're relying on everyone else.
So you don't have a model at all for this. You're criticizing the model that we have when all of the equations have been done. But you don't have a model at all. You don't have any calculations at all. You don't have any equations at all. You have nothing, absolutely nothing but a name for your model. And you somehow think that your model represents what's happening better than the model that the scientists have come up to with all of the equations and mathematical calculations, all of the parameters inputted. And all you're doing is saying a name and saying, oh, my model fits better. Yeah, if there's nothing to your model, if your model is empty and baseless and has nothing behind it, it will fit anything, Austin. And this is the tricks you play. You sort of say, hey, our model fits better. Yeah, because there's nothing in the model. An empty slate, you can write on anything. That's your trick. That's what you do. Give me the equations. Give me your predictions. Give me how your model shows mathematically how these anomalies and these things that you're saying are such a massive problem actually fit your model, and your model can't be anything goes.
Okay, very easily done. We have bobwins.com, for example, which takes the magnetic flux data, the actual readings from all over the Earth, the true verifiable magnetic flux data, puts it on an azimuthal projection on a plane, and you can actually see it mapped out. You can see the prediction matches perfectly with what we see on the plane. You can then change it to the globe, and it doesn't work. And the point is
not equations.
The point
not
is
equations, not mathematical equations.
They're literally built upon all the mathematical data that is obtained from the magnetic flux readings, the magnetic variance and flux readings of the magnetic field on the Earth.
Yeah,
That's how.
If you make up magic, anything will work. No, it's magic. It's magic, ladies and gentlemen. It's magic. Yeah. So what causes it?
If I was so wrong, you probably wouldn't.
No. Don't run away from the question. What causes it? What causes the magnetic field?
Yeah. So, well, you would have to understand what magnetism is, which I can assure you don't, and this would be an entire another conversation. Okay, I'll answer you, and listen. I'll answer you.
Sure.
It'll be over your head, and then you'll say it's word salad. Okay. So actually, what magnetism is a conjugate. That's not a word salad. That's a word that has a meaning. Conjugate. Geometric expression of centrifugal divergence and centripetal convergence. Okay, and this is actually the geometry of the universe.
Centrifugal is outward force of a rotating body.
Well, it doesn't technically have to be rotating, but yes, it's moving out from the center. That's what centrifugal means.
And what causes that force moving outwards?
The vortex in the center, which is actually the background medium or the ether under torsion. This is certainly over your. See, you're just gonna hand wave dismiss it, call it word salad.
No, I'm not. I'm interested. I'm interested in this ether and your evidence that an ether vortex, if that's what you're describing, actually exists. Where's your evidence for that?
Well, if we look at all the quantum physicists and all the physicists in the entire world and what they say happens with magnetism, they admit there's a vortex in the center of it and that causes all of it. They admit they can't explain magnetism and that we have something called virtual photons we had to use to make the equations work.
This?
All quantum physicists that exist in the entire world that know anything about magnetism at all.
They say there's an ether vortex.
No, that's a
creating magnetism.
Well, very tactical and dishonest.
You said no. You said that there was an ether vortex, and all physicists admit there is an ether vortex. Well, what did you say then?
What I said was all physicists will tell you that our current particle physics model doesn't work because there's something called virtual photons, and they all know there is a vortex in the center of the magnetic field.
Do they all admit that it's an ether?
I didn't say ether vortex.
Do they say that it's an ether vortex?
They differ on that. There are some that say
so it's not, dude. That's not evidence of an ether vortex.
I didn't claim it to be evidence of the ether vortex.
Then why are you telling me when I asked for evidence? What is the evidence for an ether vortex? An ether vortex. This is the exact question I asked Witsit. What is the evidence for an ether vortex in the center of your disk?
Okay, so calm down, man. I get your emotional connection.
I ask a question and you basically go off to physicists. Don't answer the question. Try to smuggle in ether vortex when, if they say a vortex, well, I can smuggle in my ether vortex into there. You are being dishonest. What's the evidence? Not for a vortex, not for any photons, not for anything else. Your ether vortex. So if you listen closely, that's exactly what I asked.
Okay, so if you interrupt me again, I'm going to just demand that we move to Q&A because you're emotional and you have impulse control issues.
I think you're
Stop interrupting me, Mark.
I really do.
Stop. You're not convincing anyone that I'm wrong by interrupting me.
Excuse me, gentlemen. So,
ad hominem all over the place.
Without any discussion as to what we think about his response, Mark, I'll just let you ask the question again, and then Austin, I'll give you an opportunity to answer it, and then we'll go into some closing statements. For 5 minutes, or up to 5 minutes if you'd like, and then we'll get right into the Q&A if you guys are good for time. All right.
Okay. So the question is, what is your evidence? Provide calculations for this, or field equations or whatever you want. What is your evidence for the ether vortex, not any vortex anywhere, the ether vortex that is at the center of the planet as you've described? Yeah, quick Google. There you go.
I'm literally typing in the chat about how you're scared to let me answer. Anyway,
quick Google, go for it.
I'm literally, look, there, I just went pressed entered halfway through the comment. Debunked again. So easy to debunk you. Okay, so the point is that I explained that this is a conversation that would be very in-depth. It would take more time and that you're going to not be capable of having it. You proved that to be true, but You would have to first establish what the ether is. What's the evidence of the ether? Okay. And that would be 0-point energy, the Casimir effect, quantum foam. We know that whenever we have a dielectric and magnetic constant of free space impedance, we know that all quantum physicists will tell you that we know it is not just emptiness in a vacuum. It's not Newtonian emptiness and not just space and time. That there's something else there. Okay. That's why there are quantum field theories being proposed with an etheric framework, a substantive background. Now, we know actually that energy manifests as a vortex, okay? It's actually the motion under torsion or twisting a vortex, okay? We know this is consistent. We know that all magnetism actually has a vortex through the center of the toroid. It has a block domain wall or an inertial plane through the middle, and then it has the two geometries of the hyperboloid and the toroid, which is centrifugal divergence, centripetal convergence. This is what magnetism is. It all has vortexes. On the globe Earth, if it's real, and there's a magnetic field, there's a vortex through the middle of its magnetic field. All magnetic fields have it, okay? When it comes into what is magnetism, I only brought up quantum physicists to point out that they all would acknowledge we don't really know what magnetism is. According to the standard particle physics model, they claim they had to come up with virtual photons to make the equations work because the predictions did not work, and they don't fully understand what magnetism itself is. So you'd have to define magnetism, which I did. You would have to actually substantiate ether, which I just did. And then you would have to understand that the magnetic field's geometry always has a vortex. And then you would be in the right direction, understanding that the south being weaker works and not on the globe, because the globe predicts a symmetry of the magnetic field, which is not observed.
Yeah, so all of this is just basically you are claiming that you've solved it. Notice that no physicist, he hasn't provided any evidence. All he's done is basically given line after line about how the centripetal convergence of the blocker domains and things. No physicist agrees with him. Everybody tells him he's wrong, and yet he still continues on to say, no, I have evidence. No, you just have your claims. Witsit. That's just you claiming it. You haven't provided anything. You haven't provided any equations. You haven't provided any actual studies into this thing. All you've provided is word salad. That's it. And some of this might be true in relation to magnetism not being fully understood. I totally agree. But that doesn't make you right. And attacking the globe model doesn't make the flat earth right. Have you seen the dodge that he's doing? He's basically saying, oh, well, I want to attack the globe model. He's not talking about flat earth at all. He's avoiding why ships going over the horizon just vanish. He's avoiding all of this stuff because he can't address it. He can't address why flights take the same amount of time, a longer amount of time from Perth to Johannesburg as opposed to Boston to Honolulu. He can't address that. So instead, he's just attacking the flat earth, globe earth, as he always does when he doesn't want to talk about his own model.
All right, with that, we'll move into our closing statements. Where you just finished speaking there, Mark. We'll kick it over to Austin for his closing statement, and then we'll let you close out the show there, Mark. So Austin, closing statements. Yeah, you got up to 5 minutes for whatever you'd like to close with there.
Well, let me actually time it. That's cool. Give me like 5 seconds. Yeah. Whatever. We'll go ahead. So yeah, I'm not scared to answer any of the questions. I'll just do it right now. So there we go. We'll start. Okay. The differences in times are easy to explain because, in fact, whenever you look at the trajectories, they go over the water. So you would understand that they're going over the water, they go over jet streams, and that with those southern flights, actually very rare flights, by the way, those southern flights, they have up to 3 or 4 hour differences from one direction based on the return flight and the original flight. It's because they catch jet streams, and we have documented ground speed in the north. The jet streams are slower. Planes going over 800 miles per hour. Yes, that's right. And a ground speed of over 800 miles per hour. So pretty simple. They go much faster in the south and admit they catch jet streams. And that's the globe Earth's explanation for why they are drastically different times on the original flight and the return flight. Literally, that's the globe Earth's explanation as well, is that they catch jet streams or go against them. And then as to the boat, I actually asked him, could you articulate my response to Stillman it? And then he went back to the previous thing, but I was trying to address when he changed the subject, because I did answer the boats very specifically. I explained that the horizon is just apparent, that there's optical convergence where the sky appears to meet the ground. When we go higher above the Earth, right, we're always going to have sky and Earth, so there has to be a horizon even on a flat Earth, contrary to the ignorant claim that it wouldn't exist on a flat Earth. And as you go higher, you see the boat again because you're getting above the visual corridor that has a greater density, thus a greater atmospheric occlusion or obstruction. So when you get higher, you can see further. You're looking through less obstruction. Very simple stuff. And of course, you can see further when you get higher on a flat Earth too. basic geometry. Okay. For the rest of the conclusion, basically, there was no true explanation or response to the radio transmission. He brought up the ionosphere again because all the globe scripts is just like ionosphere, ionosphere, but they don't know that I've already preemptively rebutted that by eliminating it as an answer. Okay, skywave propagation allegedly bounced off the ionosphere. Now that was made up to save the globe, but it still doesn't work. Okay, ground wave propagation is what we're talking about. And if I have something, he's like, it was admittedly an antenna. It wasn't on the ground. Yeah, it was 10 feet off the ground. And we're talking about 30 miles of Earth curvature blocking a horizontal transmission. And the military document doesn't care what anti-flat earthers or whatever they got to say on the internet. They are out in the world doing real documentation of technology and writing down the results. That's all they're doing because they have to use it. And they're like, a few percent of the time, we can receive these transmissions from 800 kilometers away from an antenna that's just 3 meters tall, which is 10 feet, 497 miles, 32 miles of Earth curvature should be blocking it. There is no true answer for that. I explained that if you have to invoke an azimuthal grid of vision, even for anti-crepuscular rays, and that actually explains all celestial objects on the plane Earth, understanding that we don't see forever. We have circular eyes. We don't see in perfectly straight orthographic lines. We see in non-Euclidean hyperbolic visual curved space. I know that these are very descriptive phrases that I'm saying. I'm not trying to woo the audience or anything. I want you guys, some of you guys in the audience are actually interested in the truth. And what you guys should do is listen to the words I'm saying and go research, understand what exactly is being said, and go look into the veracity of the claim. Don't have like an emotional, visceral reaction where you're just like, oh, this guy's using words that sound smart. No, I say them specifically to make the most out of each point, okay? We have hyperbolic, non-Euclidean visual space. It's curved, okay? So we see in curved visual space, and this is well known. That's why we can't see forever, and that's why we see the sun and the moon relative to each observer. It explains the eclipses, everything. So you can go look at Walter Bisland's model, and thanks Walter. Now he hates the flat Earth, and he says, "Oh, this would require light to bend in unrealistic way." But that's just a claim he makes, not understanding actually the light's just optically appearing to bend through the visual space. So basically, he admits that all observations do work on the flat Earth. And the final thing I'll say is the magnetic field also does work perfectly on the flat Earth. Look up a magnetic field ferrocell image. You'll see there's a plane through the middle of every magnetic field that exists, and that's where you live. You live in a toroid. It's a beautiful toroid. It's a stationary topographical plane. It's the center of all existence, and you can go measure it yourself. I know that it sounds crazy when you first hear it, but sometimes you just have to step outside of consensus. Don't let people gaslight you and mock you and ridicule you, shaming you away from looking into truth, because weak-minded people will always do that. And yeah, just look into it. You'll find out that maybe it's not as crazy as you originally thought. Thank you.
All right, excellent. That was pretty much right on time. So we'll kick it over to Mark for his closing, and then we'll get right into our open discussion. Or sorry, our Q&A, sorry. All right, so over to you, Mark. Oh, you're muted, Mark.
I think you'll have to ask him.
Yeah, he's muted now, so I'll just get that on there. So
yeah, I can't unmute myself. I can't unmute myself. So yeah, no worries. So the whole idea of this planes in jet streams, like one's going to fly faster in one direction than the other. The jet stream that you would have to carry one plane twice the distance, twice the speed as the other one, over twice the speed on his ridiculous model, would mean that plane would crash out of the air. The leaps that he is going to, and isn't it telling? It's so telling that after he uses this model of vision, basically says, well, the guy that created it says it's completely unrealistic and wouldn't work. But that's just a claim. Yeah, and he's basically showing how ridiculous it is for light to bend 270 degrees into your eyes to come in the opposite direction. And then Austin says, oh, well, when you see crepuscular rays, you see them in the opposite direction. Yeah, but the sun doesn't move around and come from a different direction. Like, this is what he's trying to claim. Why does no other body do this? Why don't we see the sun do this? Why don't we see the moon do this. It's the most ridiculous idea. The boat going over the horizon, this boat is 17 stories high. According to perspective, it should be looking taller as perspective works, but instead the bottom is vanishing, just the bottom. The size of the boat, as far as perspective is concerned, is not changing, but he does not explain why it's only the bottom and not the top. Don't forget, this boat isn't smaller than you. It's quite a bit larger. So it should look distorted to be higher, not vanishing from the bottom up. So he didn't explain that at all. It was a non-explanation. He addressed a point that didn't come up. He says the military uses ground wave communications. Yeah, sure they do, because they do work. And, ground wave diffuses. It also goes through solid objects like shortwave does not. And the military says that Austin's wrong. They say that there is a horizon. They say they have to shoot artillery behind the horizon. They have to make calculations using the globe model, which, so Austin's basically quoting people that think he's wrong, just like he quotes physicists that think he's wrong. Everybody thinks he's wrong, and he'll say this person. No, they don't. They think you're wrong, Austin. Sort of non-Euclidean hyperbolic visual space. I get it's hyperbolic. It's hyperbole. I get that. I really do. This sort of unrealistic way that he evaluates how light works. And notice that he's not giving any calculations of how this light is bending. He's sort of saying, hey, this guy that did the model is wrong, but I'm not going to provide anything to show that his claim. All I'm going to do is make up some words, say that's how it works, and leave it there. He isn't providing anything. His model is empty. The reason why his model can fit anything that comes up is because there is no solid or concrete thing to actually look at. Of course, magic can explain everything, because that's what he's using. He just says magic, because he's not providing evidence of any vortex. He's not providing evidence of any aether. He's not providing evidence of anything. All he's saying is, hey, this thing fits my model, therefore it's true. Nobody cares unless you can actually provide some evidence, some calculations, some predictive power, which he will not do. He's been doing this for years, and he has not come up with a single equation, single mathematical function, any predictions whatsoever, just said, my magic works. And that's all he's done. And he's been doing this for years. You would think he would do one experiment. You think he would take a flight from Perth to Johannesburg. They do run quite frequently, actually. You think he would do something to actually get evidence, but no, he doesn't. All he says is magic and just expects it to explain everything.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, someone sent me a message saying
I've tried a couple things here to try to change my audio. So so sorry to everybody in the live chat if you can't hear me that well. So sorry. I've done what I can.
It's not really that bad. It's not. You always have people like that super extra about audio in the chat, bro. Like they act like they're Hollywood directors.
Oh, that's all right.
No, it's one of the people I really trust sending me a message. They wouldn't just, sort of make it up.
They wouldn't lead me astray like this. Would you live chat? Would you do that?
No. He runs the modern day Discord. He wouldn't make that up.
Ryan wins. There we go. I like this. They like it because I had my mic muted for most of that earlier discussion there. So we'll continue on here into our Q&A. Thank you guys for coming out and having this discussion. Fantastic conversation, fellas. We're going to move into our conversations here. So, everybody, sounds better. Some people are saying, awesome.
Okay,
I like to hear it. So, we got our first question here is for $1.99. Sauce me down. Globe sun doesn't work on flat sun. Mark, try again. So, they're saying that the globe sun doesn't work on flat sun. So
globe sun doesn't work on flat sun. Well, I'll admit there's things that we see that won't work on a flat Earth, like, for instance, the shadow, the light showing like a shadow of a mountain cast upon a cloud. Like there's no way that can work on a flat Earth. You can't get the sun lower than the mountains on a flat Earth, but you can on a globe Earth. And we've seen pictures of that all the time. There's things that the sun basically going around in circles above the flat Earth. Why is it shorter over the Arctic and travels longer over the southern hemisphere, which it needs to on a flat Earth, because you've got to have things like two different continents in light. So I'd just say that the sun, what we observe, doesn't work on a flat Earth as far as the sun's concerned.
There we go. Sorry, not shaking my head at you. I just was getting rid of that terrible cord
that's
that
fine.
I think was causing
me all you want, Ryan. I don't
No,
care.
I was going to say I was just getting rid of the cord. I think that was causing me all my problems communicating to the live chat here. So we'll continue on here. $5 coming in from Bitter Truth. Austin, how deep Earth is, or how deep is the Earth? I think is what they mean. Where does Earth's gravity come from? And then they say how deep Earth is. So they said the same thing twice. So how deep is the Earth, and where does gravity come from?
Yeah,
That's for you,
so
Austin.
yeah, like when you say like where does the Earth's gravity come from? Like what are you even like what are you talking about? Like we have things that fall down 9.8 meters per second squared, and actually they're intrinsically electrostatic, and we have a measurable downward electric current on the Earth. It's measurable. It's provably there because you can go outside and measure that there's a downward current on the Earth. If you wanted to really get into what it is, according to Nikola Tesla, which people seem to think they're smarter than what, and he would fold your guys' brain in like a card table, but whatever. He said there's a life-giving force inside of the ether. It comes down from above us and it actually puts the ether under strain, that's what electrostatics is, the ether under stress or strain, which gives you the material world held together intrinsically by all electrostatic bonds. Everything's electrostatic. So technically everything's electromagnetic, and it tries to ground and find equilibrium at the Earth. That's where the quote unquote gravity, the only thing that could even be referenced is that, comes from. And of course the current theory is a joke. And I don't remember the other question.
Yeah, so the two-part question here.
How deep is it? How deep is it?
Yeah, how deep is the Earth here?
Earth. Yeah, so the deepest hole ever dug is 7.8 miles. So no one knows what's beneath there, including all these globe models that makes all these crazy claims. No one's ever gone deeper than 8 miles. So I don't know. Like I think that according to the magnetic field, you'd get to a point where pressure would be so strongly mediated that you couldn't actually materially access that area. If you were able to get to the other side, then in fact you would have the inversion of the top half of the magnetic field. So there would be something below us, seemingly as far down as is above us, and we live inside of a sphere, and they said we lived on one, but you can't go further than 8 miles. So claims beyond that is speculative as to exact distances. I try to stick with what can be verified instead of make up fairy tale stories like the globe.
All right, excellent. So we'll continue on here. Bitter Truth strikes again for $5. Austin, is flat Earth means Earth has limits and we can't fly over the limit and water should be falling? Explain it, please. So yeah, what I think they mean is if the Earth is flat, that means Earth has limits and we can't fly over that limit. And the water should be falling off the edge of the Earth is what I think they're implying here. So they're asking for you to explain that.
Yeah, that's crazy because that's like what they show you in second grade, cartoons or something. And when they tell you people used to think the Earth was flat, but if I walk to the edge of the lake, do I fall off the lake? Does the water fall off the edge of a lake? So what if we're just in effectively a giant lake, and when you get to the edge, you walk a little further, you'd find another lake. We actually don't know because, as crazy as this sounds, every major country in the world hasn't agreed to an Antarctic treaty that says it's illegal to privately and freely explore the Antarctic region. So we don't know what's beyond there. Water typically does need to be contained. I think that we're surrounded by water. But as to the dimensions, no one knows. And if there's a container, maybe it touches down, which would prevent anything from falling off anyway. But again, you can't fall off the edge of a lake. So it's a very ignorant claim. Flat Earth is so stupid, we wouldn't really have to straw man it so egregiously.
All right, gotcha. And just to check in for you fellas, how are you guys doing for time?
I'm chilling, but I think you're gonna have to ask him to unmute.
How you doing? I think you're on mute again there, Mark. Sorry. Here.
It is sometimes a habit to mute yourself, and then you forget that you have.
That's all right. So sorry about that. So,
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no
How are
worries.
you doing for time there, Mark?
I'm all right. I'm fine.
All right, excellent. So, yeah, as we move through our Q&A, there is opportunity for you guys to have back and forth if you guys want to engage in some rebuttal there in the questions here. Just depends on how long you guys want to go, because I know we have ran for a little bit so far. So we'll continue on for now, and you guys just let me know if anything changes. So Beamsy for $5. Witsit, if gravity is electromagnetic, like you claim that everything is electromagnetic, under what spectrum is it infrared or ultraviolet?
That's not even a coherent question. Is gravity ultraviolet? Like what does that even
Electro
mean?
electromagnetic is what they said.
Yeah. Everything's
Don't you know the
intrinsically
frequency?
everything is intrinsically electromagnetic. That's a fact. You can't find one thing in the world that's not electric. Literally nothing that exists in the entire world, which is why to explain the discrepancies with the quantum field or the quantum realm of physics and the theory of relativity, they're actually proposing a new, like a modified Newtonian dynamic theory. They're proposing unified field theories that actually unify everything under electromagnetism. This is one of the most popular solutions to the relativistic problem of the quantum scale. But you'll never hear that from people that push the globe as if it's perfect here, but you can just go read the papers. But yeah, everything's intrinsically electrostatic. And more specifically, if you understood electromagnetism the way it's properly defined, everything is electromagnetic and it seeks its equilibrium at the ground. As to what the spectrum is, you're talking about light, which is a specific effect or phenomena of really the ether and is a perturbation or excitation of the ether. So we'd have to properly define these terms, and that would take a while.
Well, I think they're just asking you what the frequency is for the effect. If you're saying everything's electromagnetic and gravity is a result of electromagnetic force, what is the frequency of that electromagnetic force, like kilohertz or megahertz, or what is it?
There's an entire variance of the electromagnetic spectrum. So there wouldn't be a specific frequency. That doesn't make sense. That's why I said it's an incoherent statement.
So what range is it?
All electromagnetic frequencies.
So it's all electromagnetic frequencies?
Yes, everything is EMF, yes.
Including everything visible light?
Visible light is also electromagnetic, that's right.
Yes, I know, but I asked what frequency is the gravitational force that's electromagnetic according to you? And if you're including visible light, then we should see it.
You're just lost, Mark. I'm sorry.
What frequency is the electromagnetic effect of your gravitational force? What range is it in?
Okay, I don't have to believe in what you call gravity. Gravity is the effect of everything being intrinsically...
Okay, well, whatever is pulling us down then, whatever force is, whatever is drawing us down, what is the frequency range of that electromagnetic effect? You said it was electromagnetic, right?
Oh my God. I bet you're going to interrupt me again. So I never claim something's pulling us down. That's a straw man fallacy. I explained that everything is intrinsically electromagnetic, that has a huge spectrum because everything is a huge spectrum of EMF. And the effect of things falling down and seeking their equilibrium is intrinsically electromagnetic because everything that exists is. There isn't some new deified force called gravity that's separate from all the other EMFs that exist. It's just the effect overall of everything being intrinsically electromagnetic and finding its equilibrium at the ground. And there's a downward electric bias on the Earth. This is just very well known.
So what's cause? So is electromagnetic fields causing the downward bias, this bias on the ground?
Well, we'd have a downward electric current on the Earth.
Okay, so what frequency range, if you need to, is that current?
Oh, the current, it's actually very, very small current. It's like millivolts, very, very small. We have 100 volts per meter that goes up, and then we have a current.
For the potential.
I was still talking.
Yeah.
You don't understand any of this. Why are you pretending you're teaching me?
Why are you quoting voltage? We're asking for the frequency.
I'm trying to explain to you that it isn't some phenomena called gravity that people like you bow and worship to. It is an overall effect of the fact that all objects seek equilibrium via pressure mediation. It's the entire EMF range. The entire EMF range is why we have what people falsely call gravity. You're going to repeat
And you
your
think
question,
that's
though. You're going to repeat
voltage?
it. You're just going to keep asking the same ignorant
Yeah. Do
question
you
and
think
waste my
that
time.
the electromagnetic range is voltage?
I said that we have 100 volts per meter, and then we have a current that goes down. All you do is straw man. All you
right,
can do is straw man, gaslight, ad hom,
excuse
poison
me,
the well,
fellas.
appeal
Why
to
don't
the
you actually
neutrals.
give a
It's
frequency?
just a waste of time.
Excuse me, fellas. So,
Why don't you give a frequency?
For respect of
It's
the
an ignorant
audience's
question.
questions
Yeah,
here.
keep Googling. Google it. Google
I'm not
frequency of
Googling
electromagnetic
anything,
waves.
Mark.
Sorry,
This is the
gents,
problem,
I'm
bro.
going to
I'm not
interrupt
doing
here.
this.
If we can keep moving forward with our questions here from the live
There
chat.
you go.
Yeah, it does look like we do want to respect the audience's time and their questions here. So we do have a lot to go through, and there'll be lots of chance for discussion, I think, as we move through. So we're going to move on here. So Bitter Truth for $5 says, light of sun strong enough to lighten the earth. If earth is flat, there should be day and night at same time. Austin, explain. Mark, brief on it. So they want you to explain if the light of the sun is strong enough to lighten the earth. If the earth is flat, there should be day and night at the same time. So that's for you, Austin, and then they want Mark to expand.
What is it? What does day and night at the same time even mean? You know, usually people try to say that the whole earth should be lit up or whatever. Day and night at the same time doesn't make sense. But of course, we actually do have observations on the earth where you can see like day over there, night over there. Like, I don't know, every single day you have day and night at the same time that it's ever existed in the history of mankind. But typically what Glovers say is that the whole earth should be lit up by the sun, which is just incredibly ignorant, and that is ridiculous. And you have something called attenuation, and the lights in the sky are local, so you would never have it light up the entire earth. And there are probably 1,000 demonstrations online that show the exact mapping out. And again, thanks Walter. You can go to Walter Bisland's model, and it'll show you the exact distribution of day and night based on every day of the year.
All right, excellent. And they did actually ask in that question if Mark could expand or rebut what you said.
Yeah, sure. So the whole idea of the sun like providing light and basically this mythical attenuation that Austin wants to have happen is that if it was strong enough to reach the earth, you would still see the sun at nighttime, because the attenuation of the light is not that much that you wouldn't be able to see the source. There is no way that would happen. So anywhere on the earth, whether, and usually the example they give is like, oh, it's like a flashlight. It only like sort of shines on one part at a time as it goes around. Well, the problem with that is if you hold a flashlight over a flat disk, from anywhere on the disk, you can still see the light. It's a problem. And so flat earthers have to sort of change attenuation rates for light, the diffusal of light through the atmosphere, in such a way so it works with their model, that for some reason the light hits the atmosphere and diffuses really fast in one direction, but still keeps like shining over the rest to keep it in daytime. So I think what they're trying to say, and do excuse me if I'm wrong, but I think what they're trying to say is that you'd even at nighttime you still should be able to see the sun. That's how attenuation rates work for light. We know this. We use it for communications. We use the attenuation of light through glass for fiber optics. We know the attenuation rates for light, and yeah, Austin's model's just wrong because he basically invents attenuation rates at his convenience.
All right, and we'll move on from there. Just bear with me here while I go through my list of questions. Yes, we do have quite a few. Let's see, that one's not really a question, sorry. Let me just continue on here. Austin, flat Earth, why is there day in USA but night in other countries?
Same answer. So Mark, this is great actually that you asked right after. Mark said you have to make things up. I guess his whole goal is that you'll just believe him and not go research anything. That's his whole goal. He's just trying to fool the gullible. Okay. No one has to change the attenuation rate of light. That's literally something he just made up. He just made it up. We just use the same attenuation rate for light that's always been used and is always known and is verifiable based on the density of the atmosphere. He just made this idea up that we had to make a new one because it's easy to make flat Earth sound so stupid. We have to make things up that aren't real. You should ask yourself in the audience, if flat Earth is so stupid, why is everything he said for the last hour and a half been a blatant straw man and a misrepresentation? So the answer is the same, that light attenuates. It doesn't travel forever. We have a small local light source. It can be easily explained with the equal distribution over top of the surface of the Earth on a plane where it only lights up a certain portion of it. And in fact, if there's some type of container, you can actually get 24-hour light around the outside. You can get perfect distribution. If you use the azimuthal grid of vision, it explains the exact day and night distribution of the Earth on a plane. And what a coincidence, it matches everything perfectly. So there you go. It's an ignorant position to think flat Earth can't be true because the whole the whole Earth would be lit up. That is 100% not true and frankly very ignorant.
All right, excellent. And I have a question here. Mark, you're creating flat earthers. Why do you tell the audience what they should think about what Austin says? You see, that appears deceitful.
No, I'm basically saying where Austin is 100% wrong. That's all. Austin, there are certain things and certain techniques that are used in debate that are blatantly dishonest. Austin's misrepresentation of what people have said. His gish gallop of bringing up multiple subjects, hoping that you can't address all of them. That is what I am addressing, not sort of. I'm providing evidence, and what's telling is that Austin isn't providing any evidence. He's just making claims. That's the whole point. And every time I ask for evidence, it's just look at this guy's model that disagrees with me, or this is how it works, and no actual evidence for it at all. That's not telling people what to think. It's pointing out that hey, it's there's nothing here to look at all. And that's my job during a debate. So yeah, but you're entitled to your opinion. Go for it.
All right, thank you so much for that. And we'll continue on here. Just got to scroll back up because we have a long list. I'll say it again. All right. So, Witsit, why does the paper you brought up say that the transitions are occasionally received at 500 miles? Where with flat would always be received? Oh, okay. I think I understand what they're saying. So I think they're saying that on a flat Earth, it would always be received, and the transitions are occasionally received at 500 miles. It's not perfectly worded here, but I hope you understand what they mean.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, basically, why is it only received a few percent of the time on a flat Earth? It should always be received. But that's incorrect because we have something called attenuation based on weather conditions, the density, the turbidity of the air, and topographical obstruction. We can't send the radio waves the same distance every single time. But it should never be received ever on a globe Earth from that far away. That's the point. We don't expect to always receive it at the same distance on a flat Earth because there's turbidity and attenuation in the atmos, and there's topographical obstruction. So pretty simple.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys for being great sports here. We got lots more questions, but I actually just got a message from James. So everybody, James is here in spirit. So I have a message from him. He wants to remind you all that we have on April 22. Oh my goodness. Won't you just rip me asunder for that? So on April 22nd in Fort Worth, to check the links in the descriptions for DebateCon. So that's going to be happening, on April 22nd. So, that's going to be a fun one to watch later and be like, oh, I said that. So let's continue on with our Q&A, guys. This has been great. So let's see here. Austin, explain what is radio wave and how it works.
Why would you want a flat earther to explain stuff to you? I thought we were stupid. It's crazy. It's funny. I like, what does Witsit think about this? What's Austin think about this? He's an idiot. He doesn't know basic things. What do you think about this? Yeah, so what are radio waves? They're EMF, they're electromagnetic frequencies, they're a non-visible spectrum of light. You'd have to get into what is electromagnetic frequency, what is light. The non-visible spectrum of light is actually the same thing as the visible spectrum of light. It's nothing more than perturbation of the background, an excitation, a vibration, a displacement of the background. It's already there. It's just illuminated or not illuminated relative to the spectrum of vibration. So radio waves are the same thing as light. Of course, they're both light. One's visible, one's not. We call visible light when in fact it's just illumination, and it's the same thing as a radio wave, and it's a perturbation of the background medium. Electromagnetic manifestation in the material world is because of a disturbance in the background medium. I know some of the concepts may be foreign to people, but that doesn't make it word salad. Word salad would mean that it's incoherent and doesn't actually make sense put together, which it clearly does. So that's the answer. Radio waves are just nothing more than the perturbation or excitation of the background. Same thing as light, it's just non-visible.
All right, excellent. And Ozian, the gamer, $5. Thank you so much. We have ground wave propagation goes over mountains along the ground. So if Earth was flat, it travels over mountains. A curve is no problem.
Okay, so it shows that you guys don't understand it. But so whenever we know that there's topographical obstructions such as mountains, we always shoot the radio transmissions from higher elevations. Okay, we shoot them from much higher elevations. Yes, we do, because we know that topographical obstruction will drastically decrease the efficacy of propagation, and it will limit how far you can send it. Topographical obstruction is one of the main things accounted for in radio transmission. Now, logically speaking, 10 meters up or 10 feet up, where do you shoot that where there's nothing on the ground? Well, they intentionally shoot these long range where there's not much topographical obstruction or elevational change. Yes, they do. And it's a 10-foot meter, or it's a 10-foot antenna, but it can be at a higher elevation. So that's why when you see towers in your real life, you always see them at higher elevations typically, because that's when they're able to reach further. So yes, mountains do in fact obstruct, which goes to support my point. The mountains can obstruct the radio transmissions if they're at too low of elevation, because radio transmissions do not just travel through Earth, okay? So they get blocked, and yes, they keep spreading out, but when you have 31 miles, you can't go 500 miles because it's not going to spread out and then just magically continue to gain in amplitude. So there's the answer. Yeah, of course, it gets blocked by the Earth. That was my point, that the Earth blocks radio waves.
Can travel over mountains, though.
It doesn't. No, it gets blocked by the mountain.
Yeah, it can.
Does it get blocked by the mountain?
No, not necessarily. No.
Cite it.
No. Sure.
Made that up. We can move on. Basic
Okay.
makeup.
If you want to move on, I didn't know if Mark wanted to expand on what he was saying there, but
We can if he wants to, but he made it up.
No, that's fine.
okay, you're good. All right, I'm just getting under their super chat, copy and pasted here. So we'll just continue on here. Hey, Mark, why don't you just concede that Jesus made the earth flat by magic so that we can end these debates?
Wow.
I thought that one was fun.
I think that says it all, really. Yeah.
Well,
I actually do think it is a faith-based position. I sort of when I started out, I sort of went, well, not all flat earthers, have a theistic view or whatever. But the more that I'm sort of talking to people, I realize that really its foundation is a religious belief, essentially.
Blatant straw man. Mark knows that he's straw manning, but his entire tactic is
not religious.
Is to personally belittle other people, because that's the only argument.
Religious?
That's the only argument he has, is also to interrupt. But the reason that so many people that are flat earthers believe in a creator is because if you had two brain cells that work simultaneously, you'd understand that if the Earth is a stationary topographical plane, that would mean it's geocentric, which means that it had to be placed there. So they find out that if the Earth is in fact the center of everything that exists, something had to put it there. And there's a huge range of beliefs as to who did or what it is. No one thinks the Earth is flat because they're religious. Many people find out there has to be a creator because the Earth is stationary, but they'll keep running with the gaslighting narrative that everyone believes flat Earth is because of their religion, so they can discredit them personally and avoid the true situation, is that people come to a creator by recognizing the truth, not the other way around.
Yeah, so I'll just finish because the question was for me. Yeah, this isn't just a straw man or anything. It's just a correlation between the religious minded and the people that believe in a flat earth. So highly credulous people like Austin here will sort of make it an article of faith that the earth has to be flat. And so he is basing, and his excuse is, well, I base my belief on the flat earth, not the other way around. Well, great, it's still an article of faith. So congratulations for proving my point.
Wow, you'll get it one day. Watch it back. Maybe watch this stream.
Yeah,
back.
you'll get it one day, Austin. Like, just take some flights, mate. Get out of your country. See the world.
Yeah.
See the globe.
Get out of.
No, well, get out of. Oh yeah, I'll get out of my house all the time. What are you talking about? Go traveling, Austin. Have you ever taken the Johannesburg to Perth flight?
Have you?
Just take that flight. Yeah, I live in Perth.
Wow, you've taken that exact flight.
Yeah.
Why are you gonna say it on line camera like that, bro?
I got. What are you talking about? I've got
just really
friends
good at
in
reading
Cape
people.
Town, you moron.
Okay.
Oh wow. So yeah. So Austin, have you ever left your country?
Maybe you went.
Austin, have you ever left your country?
We'll move on from here, fellas.
Yeah,
see,
he doesn't want to answer. Like, why don't I get the last word if the question was for me?
Yeah, fair
why
enough.
does Austin got to interrupt all the time? Why do you have to do this, man?
Well,
Last word, man.
It's not. It's
Yeah,
not so
if
much
I
about
could.
the last word. It's more about, like, I do feel like you probably did answer the question there, Mark. But if you did want to finish up what you were saying there, like the question specifically, I know that Austin injected a little bit there, but if you wanted to wrap up there within like a 30-second window and we'll move forward.
So a company I used to work for, they had offices in Cape Town. So, the only flight that you can't go direct to Cape Town, you have to go through Johannesburg. So Austin is just, doing what Austin does, and that's just being a jerk, so I'll leave with that.
All right. So we will move on here. For Witsit, what is Saturn? This is from Dr. Chris Thompson for $5. For Witsit, what is Saturn? Also, how do you explain its apparent spherical shape and the shadow it casts onto its rings?
Saturn. Okay, yeah. So I've looked through telescopes and digital cameras at Saturn. It's not nearly as resolved as the CGI 1,000 layered, resolved and corrected RGB filter applied images that we see, or the admitted visualization lab NASA images, which are computer generated. So when you actually look through a telescope, you don't see like incredibly high definition shadows and clouds and all this crazy pseudoscience that comes from CGI made up nonsense. Yes, it does appear to have like a ring around it. So all energetic expression is a double toroid with a vortex to the middle where you could draw a sphere around it. So that doesn't surprise me. The light in the sky is clearly energetic. And of course, regardless of what it is, it doesn't prove that the Earth is a tilted, wobbling, spinning, and revolving ball in a vacuum. It's insane to me that people think that it does. So.
All right, got you. Thank you so much for that. Let me see here. Yeah, we got a lot of. We got to keep scrolling up here. $5. Retro Reister Gaming. Mark, why are you so angry? It's okay. The Earth isn't a ball. Don't make this awkward. I don't think you need to answer that one if you don't want to.
No, I'm not really angry. It's just, it's baffling why people hold this archaic, thinking that's been outdated for centuries and centuries, and seem to live in the medieval era where they're, safe and secure in the knowledge that some deity's watching over them. I have no idea. But, you want to do that? That's fine. Go for it. It's just, please don't peddle your, absolutely ridiculous notions to kids and stuff, as some of these flat earthers do.
You can peddle that they're insignificant, that came from evolution, nothing matters, or a tiny speck of dust. The Earth's 4 billion years old, asteroid killed dinosaurs, they're related to rats and strawberries, and that nothing's special about them, and there's no creator watching over them, and that's okay. All your pseudoscience, religious in school.
Straw man.
Well, you don't condone that?
No, Austin, no. It's my time to respond. Please keep hold of yourself. So if you want to debate on evolution, I'm more than happy to. In fact, I would love a debate on evolution. Challenge goes out. Debate me on evolution.
I'll never debate you again after your behavior in this debate. I'm sorry.
No. You're a coward. Debate me on evolution.
You interrupted me 500 times in this debate and screamed.
Debate me on evolution.
Okay.
Oh,
I heard my answer.
So yeah, you just don't. You want to just throw that out, but don't actually want to debate on it.
Debate me on atheism versus creationism.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, and I'll consider it because I have to re-examine your
Sure,
behavior, which was
sure,
incredibly
sure.
unprofessional.
No, no, no. I'll do that debate. When are we doing it, Austin?
I'm saying I'll have
You
to
guys,
decide if I agree to debate you again because your behavior was so
Sure,
you
unprofessional.
fellas, if you want to send an email
sure you
to
will.
James, I'm sure he would arrange it for you.
Yeah, I'll
Uh,
send that email. No problem at all.
that's not going to be a problem, I don't think, to get you guys back on and doing a debate on the topic. But if you guys feel like we should change the format, that's fine by us. We have no problem giving you a different format. If you want to have a muted discussion, um, specifically, that's fine. We can get both parties to consent to that before we proceed with doing a different debate. But moving on for our super chats for now. All right. Alex Williams for $5 says, "Ask Professor Dave once asked, as Professor Dave once asked, do you have a model that can show day/night and the seasons?"
Yes, it's super easy. If you even research flat Earth for a couple minutes, you would know this. I actually explained to you that you can use azimuthal grid of vision to explain everything: day and night distribution, the seasons, the different positions of the stars, the different rotation of the stars, the equinox positions of the sun and moon, set and rise, the directions in which they come. You can explain all of it: the azimuthal declination readings, all of it. All of it's perfectly explained with the azimuthal grid of vision. Even without it, yeah, it's very simple. Seasons are very easy to explain. The sun is closer to the north in their summer and closer to the south in theirs, and that's what the analemma shows us. And time lapse of the sun actually shows us throughout the year with the pinhole camera. So it's very easy to explain. I mean, yeah. Speaking of Professor David's hilarious. He's afraid to debate me on a fair, non-biased, moderated platform. So yeah, these are very easy questions to answer. And if you're still hung up on it because you're listening to people on the internet that will, until they die, repeat the same easily disproven talking points regardless, you're never going to get to the truth. You have to actually want to get to the truth. It's not much more complicated than that.
All right, we'll move on. Beamsy for $10 says, Witsit, to answer your, they said, stupid question. They're coming at you here a little bit. So to answer your question, the Earth magnetic field, the core and mantle are not uniform. This creates abnormalities in the magnetic field. We have seen this with ground penetrating radar.
And I know that you think that was a good answer, like to basically assert the radar thing, like, oh, no one's going to know that. No, actually, I've read through dozens of papers that are very complex regarding the discrepancies within the asymmetrical distribution of the geomagnetic field and the geodynamo precession. And they 100% is not explained based on the difference in the layers of the Earth. Okay. They're trying to explain why the outer core would have to have an asymmetrical distribution. They're trying to explain the variance relative to the outer core. And there is no direct mass distribution or change in layers that directly explain the variance and the lack of strength. For example, that's why we have something called the South Atlantic anomaly. It's called an anomaly because they cannot explain it. They do not know what causes it. The geomagnetic field should be symmetrical based on the geodynamo model. So basically asserting that it's because of the layers and then saying radar doesn't actually work on me, maybe other people. That's actually not true. Harvard, Stanford, and Yale all agree they do not have in any way a viable explanation for this anomaly or for this discrepancy of asymmetry.
All right. And we'll continue on from there. Thank you so much for that answer there. What's it? Jag Hardgrave for $10. Mark, can you explain why we see entirely different sets of stars in the southern portion of the S hemisphere compared to the northern part of the N hemisphere, and how this is impossible on a flat Earth?
Yeah, so basically it's because of the curvature of the Earth will eventually lead you to not be able to see the stars on the other side of it. It's all easily explained on a globe model. It's the reason why Polaris, for instance, will never be seen below a certain latitude of the southern hemisphere. Mostly they can be, like if you're at the equator, you can see at some point in the night all stars, because like all of them are available to you as the Earth spins. And you can see that with the star trails that go from side to side, which wouldn't work on a flat Earth model that Austin's presented. At the equator, you should see all kinds of weird stuff. But once you get past a certain latitude, the curvature of the Earth blocks your sight to those stars, and we even see them get lower and lower in elevation as we travel. North or south, we see them get lower and lower in elevation as we follow the curvature of the Earth. With Austin's model, you have to have magical bending light that sort of bends in all kinds of directions in order for you to have that dip going down. But on a globe Earth, it's very easily explained.
You don't need magically bending light, just so the audience understands. It's how the light appears in your azimuthal grid of vision to bend towards you relative to the observer. He's saying that it has to bend a lot because he's just reading the description of the anti-flat earther who made the model, who actually tried for months to make it disprove flat Earth, found out he couldn't, so just released it and said, "Oh, I don't think light could bend this way." But it isn't about light physically bending. It's about how the light's observed. And the guy was asking you about seeing Polaris below the equator where the curve of the Earth should block Polaris, and we shouldn't be able to see it.
Yeah, light doesn't bend in the way that describes that has to happen. And it doesn't, and an azimuthal grid of vision doesn't explain it either. It's just sort of a crutch in which to sort of say, hey, this light's sort of coming from the opposite direction it should do, and that's what it appears to do. But the only way that light can bend in the way that it's showing it, and even the creator of it said that it bends in an unrealistic way, is if you have an incredibly large mass, and obviously we don't have a black hole to bend the light like that, so it just can't happen. What Austin's trying to say is sort of don't believe your eyes kind of thing, like just believe that what you're seeing is somehow warped by perspective around, so my model makes sense. It doesn't make sense, and don't believe that. It's just sort of unrealistic, as the designer of his model has said. And it's fascinating that he can't come up with his own model and has to use one from somebody that sort of doesn't believe it's real.
Oh, so profound.
All right.
Well, it's
so pretentious. I've never debated someone so pretentious ever.
What are you so angry about?
Your pretentious, condescending, intentional deception and straw man.
It's not deception. It's not.
I specifically just said it's not the light physically bending, and then you repeated that the light has to physically bend over and over.
That's what the creator of the model said, right? That light has to bend in an unrealistic way.
The creator of gravity said that God had to be doing it. So you must believe that God exists. You see how stupid of an argument that is? Thank you.
No, that's ridiculous. Like, why don't you present your own model then, where light isn't bending unrealistically, Austin? Why don't you present your own model where light isn't bending unrealistically? So do I get the final word, or is Austin just going to continue to talk?
Well, I will say this. If it's going to be 4 minutes of him personally insulting me really pretentiously, then I'm not just going to sit here as he gets an unimpeded attack Austin personally.
I insulted your model, actually.
I would ask, just excuse me, both of you. I would just ask that for the duration of the Q&A, if you guys want to respond to each other's claims or answers to the questions, that's fine. Just in your answers, if you can avoid, attacking the other person, I think that would be fruitful for our discussion. So we'll move on from here. We had a whole bunch more come on in, so let's see here. Both interlocutors explain each model's studies, meteorology, and how both create predictions on the weather. Mention the Doppler radio as well. So I'm going to kick this one over to Mark to answer, and we'll give you a minute, Mark, to outlay your answer for that. So explain how each model studies meteorology and how both create predictions on the weather. Mention the Doppler radio as well. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes there, Mark, and I'll be right back, okay?
Yeah, so with the globe model, basically most of the weather patterns are based upon the Coriolis effect. It's why that typhoons in the southern hemisphere rotate one way, and hurricanes in the northern hemisphere, or tornadoes in the northern hemisphere, rotate the other way because of that Coriolis effect. That effect, we can sort of generate patterns, and from these patterns, of course, the Doppler radio is, I believe it's basically radio waves that see where the low and high pressure systems are in order to predict weather patterns in the future. That's as far as I understand how meteorology works. But on the globe Earth, that Coriolis effect is very easily explained. It's very definitively explained. Why weather systems rotate in different directions is perfectly explained. Over to you, Witsit.
Yeah, so people love to say that the hurricanes go the opposite way in the north and the south. But they provably all don't do that. They provably don't all do that. It's just a talking point. It's always a talking point. But of course, you have a vortex. If you actually look at the ocean currents, the magnetic flux, and the wind patterns over a plane projection, it all does perfect circles, concentric circles out from the center. You look at it on the globe, it's all over the place. It's inconsistent. It's all kinds of anomalies. It's very anomalous. Of course, the tides fit within this. Of course, you have tidal nodes, which don't make sense with the tidal theory of the globe model. And we actually use, for majority of our weather data, we have high altitude balloons that are sent up daily that gather our data using horizontal propagation, assuming a plane underneath it to gather the data, then mapped out over small segments of a plane, then stitched together to try to make cartoons to convince people that it's actually on a ball. So actually, all the weather data makes more sense on a plane projection, as can easily be seen by just examining the data projected onto both models.
They actually do spin in different directions, or usually spin in different directions in the north and southern hemisphere, depending on how close they are to the equator.
Shouldn't they always do that?
Well, it depends on how close they are to the equator, as I said.
So if it's further below the equator, then it always does it?
Uh-huh.
Wrong. Does not. It doesn't. Just look it up. I know you're just Googling it right now. Look it up.
Yeah, I just did it. I'm right.
So if
Why
I
don't you
show
look it
you,
up?
okay,
we can move on from there, fellas, if you'd like.
Yeah.
We got some more
Yeah, for
chats
sure.
here. Yeah, I was going to say, if I ask a question to either one of you, if either one of you, like if I ask a question for Austin, if you have anything you want to grab, Mark, or if you need to use the washroom, feel free to. I know you just woke up there, so you know that coffee can sometimes do some stuff. So
Yeah, well, I'm pretty tired, but it's just the start of my day, so I could go all day at this. Absolutely.
okay, excellent. Well, I'm glad so. And you're doing good, Austin?
Yeah.
All right, excellent. So we have here, what does falsifiability mean? Thank you, Mark. So that's for you, Mark.
Okay, so falsifiability means that there are things that can be falsified about that if the model that basically if the observations prove that they're wrong, a hypothesis is presented. If that hypothesis isn't comes true, then it proves the model wrong. This has been done all the time with Globe Earth, and the whole point about it is that you've got to do experimentation and show you're working on that hypothesis. You can't just say if the globe model is wrong, then X, then it's wrong. You have to actually demonstrate that the model has been falsified. So you know, there's a lot of things that can be done like this, like the falsification of the flat Earth model. If we can, you know, bounce radio signals off of the moon, then that's falsification of the data. If boats vanish bottom up, that's falsification of it. Sort of these things are put in scientific terms into a hypothesis. It's sort of observation, questioning hypothesis, and the falsification of that hypothesis is the important part.
All right. No response there on your end there, Austin?
That was just so long. I'd rather just go next.
Yeah, that's all right. So we have right here. We'll skip that one. That's just kind of coming at you, Mark. So we'll go off to.
Cool.
Thank you for your $2.
Read it out. I'm interested. Read it out. Read it out. I'm interested.
Well, I'm not sure. It says Mark.
Okay.
Oh, an ether vortex. SYM. Let me look up what SYM means because I don't.
Shake my
Shake your.
Shake your.
I am not.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not good with the.
Yeah, you can tell us in the live chat because we are
I gotta
not.
Google that.
We are not those types of people. I don't think we know a whole lot of internet lingo over here. So that's all right. If we want to move on from there, we thank you so much for your $2 donation there, Anomaly Bear. Beamsy for $5 says, Witsit, why do you refer to physics when it's geologists that work with magnetism?
Wow, what a question. So again, the geomagnetic field is a known problem for the current globe Earth model. It is a fact. It is a huge problem. Okay. It has asymmetry. It has the South Atlantic anomaly. It has a greater variance in the magnetic field than predicted based on the movement with the predictions of geology. And when the poles are supposed to shift, it doesn't match at all. It's off by thousands of percent based on using supercomputers at prestigious universities and labs. For the last decade, they have not been able to get a model to even mathematically work, to be able to explain the convection currents coming from the core, to be able to explain any of it, the density distribution relative to the magnetic properties or the variance in the magnetic field, and I could go on and on. It's just a fact. Geology and the geodynamo model with the geomagnetic model do not mesh together at all. So that's the ironic part is I bring up physics because physics debunks the globe consistently. If you have a dynamo model on a sphere, you have a symmetrical magnetic field. You can prove this 100 different ways. That's not what we have on the Earth. And yeah, I point out that physics is bastardized because of a religious bias that comes from the Copernican principle, which was literally brought to us by sorcerers and sun worshippers, admittedly. I think it's weird that people think that's science somehow, that people worship the sun, so they made up a story.
All right. So we'll move on. Nick for $2. Mark, you're telling us what to think. Stop, dude. It's coming at you.
Look, I'm just presenting the fact of reality. The reality is that the globe isn't, the Earth is a globe. The fact of the matter is that it does spin. The fact of the matter is that we do see the effects of this all the time. The fact of the matter is there is a horizon, and it's caused by the curvature of the Earth. There's no conspiracy. There's no sort of people trying to make you think what to believe or whatever. People are just presenting the facts. This is what scientists do. They go out to try and find facts, and sort of with everything that we've been sort of science has accomplished and discovered and achieved kind of thing. You rely on it for modern medicine. You rely on it for all kinds of things. We just present facts, and the fact is that the Earth is a globe. I mean, I could say the same thing. The flat earthers want me to think that it's a flat Earth. Like, I get that you believe that. It's not a fact. I'm sorry.
You believe a story that was crafted to you, and it's a pseudo-scientific cult of scientism where you just believe that other people think for you and you hand your thinking over. This is what the globe Earth model does. It convinces people to hand their thinking over to the idea of science and scientist and physicist. But when we get into the specifics, Austin just looks for random things that no one knows about. No, we're actually critiquing the claim with specificity. Again, let me just make this point. This is a fact. You guys should go watch this documentary, Heliosorcery, or you should go to the summit, the True Earth Equinox Summit. You'll learn some of this, which is the way the current model was come up with is all philosophy and religion. Literally, the perfect shapes a sphere, philosophy. Oh, everything must be empty around us, privation, philosophy. Oh, we must go around the sun because we worship the sun because it represents illumination of oneself, philosophy, and religion. And the people, go read Copernicus's writings or listen to Mark misrepresent where it came from. Go watch Heliosorcery, the documentary, and you will find out alchemists, sorcerers, and sun worshippers objectively made the model. And if you think it's reality, then you have to think that they just happened to get lucky with their religion. Truth is, all evidence shows the Earth's not moving, and you think everything's an illusion, and actually the Earth is moving, and their religion's true. It's weird. It's a religion that hates a creator, and you should look into it. Using the word science over and over doesn't change the fact that it's a religion.
Okay, so just to sort of get away from the magic of sorcerers and whatever it is that Austin's talking about. Maybe there's dragons in there somewhere, who knows. So there's no sorcerers in science. There's no religious bias in science. A lot of people that do science are Christian and Buddhist, and it really doesn't favor any religion over another. What they focus on, what we can demonstrate to be evidentially true. The whole idea that it's just one massive conspiracy of a bunch of magicians or sorcerers or something like that is just one of the more wacky things I've ever heard. There's institutions that focus on certain things, astronomy, geology, all around the globe, from different countries, different religions. People that are absolutely religious still do science, and that their contribution is really good. There's nothing wrong with that. But sort of Witsit wants you to believe there's a big conspiracy. Well, it's just not true. There's no conspiracy. There's no sorcerers. There's no sort of sun worship. Nobody
bet $5 grand on
the
it.
sun. Excuse me.
I can't sit here for
There's no
5-minute monologues
sun
each
worship.
time, man.
You just did that, Witsit.
Because you went, then I went. Now you have another 10 minutes, and then I have to sit here for another 10 minutes.
You just did that.
I'm trying to be
Witsit,
cool, man.
you just did that.
We have
whatever,
so many questions, so we don't have a whole lot of time.
A sermon every time.
It's fine for
well,
us
then
to have...
why do you do it, Witsit?
Because you went once, and then I went once, but then you want to do another sermon at the end of it every time.
Look, the way this works is the person that was asked the question gets the last word.
Okay, the way it works is I have stuff to do. So
yeah,
can we try to respect each other and come to an agreement that we'll both try to keep it more concise?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm fine with that.
Excellent. I appreciate you guys being so cordial with one another. I think that's why when you guys suggested having another debate, I thought, why not? You guys really do seem to communicate just fine as far as expressing your ideas to one another. Despite some interruptions, this has been great. So what we have here is we'll continue on with our discussions. We have T. Baggins for $5. It's more of a thank you to you, T. Baggins. If you want me to read it out, but it's not really a question. It's more like an attack. So we can move on from that. Zian Talks, $10. Wit, you don't have to answer for all things, so I am right, in quotation marks. So, sorry, I read that wrong. Wit, you don't have to answer for all things, so I am right. It's a giant argument from ignorance using his logic. I should reject all flat earth claims that have no explanatory power. Right, Witsit?
Sure. And we should apply the same logic to all globe earth claims that have no explanatory power. But that's the point you guys keep missing. And you just want to say, if I can come up with one question I think I can't work out on the flat earth, globe earth becomes real again. Incorrect. Okay, we can't explain tons of stuff on the globe. I just told you the core model, the geomagnetic model, the geodynamo model, the actual rotation and precession matching with the core model. The fact that you can't actually explain the Michelson-Morley without just presupposing that there's a whole new dimension and changing all of physics. You can't explain Mercury's perihelion shift. And you extend that into the rest of the universe, and you have a discrepancy of 95%, 86%, or 83% of the matter has to be something that's unidentified, undetected, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're changing the subject. No, the globe earth model makes all these claims. And if you can't explain all that, then someone like Mark would say, that's how science works. We don't know everything. But if a flat earther doesn't know literally everything about all of existence, then the earth becomes a ball again. That's a very ignorant way of going about it. It just shows that you have confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance. And just to reiterate the last part, objectively, no matter how many people say, gaslight me and say dragons and stuff, it was come up with by sun worshipers. You can go research it. That's a fact, okay? No matter what anyone says in the chat about me lying, go research who came up with the heliocentric model.
This is hilarious. Witsit goes, can we agree to be concise? And then goes on for minutes and minutes on end, bringing up multiple topics after. There was
maybe 1 minute.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's time dilation.
We don't want to spend too much time commenting on.
Yeah. It's okay. So this is the whole problem. That like flat Earth has huge problems in it, and you can point them out. You can point them out, you can point them out. They can't really give a model to explain how they're overcome. That they want us to provide a model that covers absolutely any question they've got to cover. And this is what Ozian's trying to say, that if they don't provide a model, it can cover everything and they don't have to provide answers to anything, because what they're doing, and notice that most of Witness, what evidence has Witsit presented for a flat Earth? Not against a globe Earth, but again for a flat Earth. Almost nothing. In fact, nothing at all. He has not actually provided any evidence for flat Earth, only just trying to pick apart things that aren't really a problem on the globe Earth. But you can pick apart tons of stuff on a flat Earth that, Oh, that was 30 seconds, Witsit. A minute, maybe.
Cool. Next.
Yeah, let's continue on from there. That's fine. So,
hypocrite.
Excuse me. Yeah, we're going to try to avoid that if we can. We'll continue. $5 from Michael Loyne. There we go. Based on the assumption of a non-rotating flat Earth. That's in quotation marks. And the quotation is to NASA. The Earth is flat 100%.
I don't. What's the question?
I'm not sure. I think they've made a declaration, so we can move on if that doesn't seem fruitful for conversation.
I think they're talking maybe about, like, in one of the NASA training manuals somewhere says we assume a flat plane for this exercise, and it's sort of some flat earthers have taken it to mean the Earth is flat, so says NASA.
But it's just to simplify the calculations. Okay, we can move on. We don't need to hear you repeat the script.
I was just trying to.
Well,
you were reading into the question to repeat a script with strawman fallacies built in. It's boring.
Look, they asked a question, Austin. I was trying to find out what
We were about to go on a minute explanation of the documents from NASA. I summarized it in 3 words. Okay, I'm just trying to help us out.
Well, that's all right. It depends on whether you guys are pressed for time. I know we've been going for a little bit here.
Well, if there's a lot
fine,
left,
but when someone sends in a super chat, I address it. It's just being polite. I know you're not cool with that.
All right, the Earth's flat. You didn't address that at all, so
we will move along since Austin is expressing that he'd get us moving here.
Sure.
Please,
Mark, give us 3 things we can do to prove flat Earth to you.
3 things you can do. I'm not sure. I mean, you could basically demonstrate it by maybe showing a photo of it. We've got tons of photos of a round Earth. You could do it by presenting equations in a proper way that shows that light can bend, or our perspective changes in this way. Correct equations with mathematical proofs to show that this is happening. Or you could produce some sort of written paper that has been, reviewed by physicists and people that know exactly what they're talking about, that show that the Earth is flat. Easy.
All right. We'll continue on for there. Siggy Sigwald 666. The angular size of the sun doesn't change, which should definitely happen if the Earth was flat. That alone should be enough for any reasonable person. I'm so sorry. I was trying to read that question and instantly all I could hear was
you're fine.
Iron Maiden in my head. So the angular size of the sun doesn't change, which should definitely happen if the Earth was flat. That alone should be enough for any reasonable person. And up to you.
Yeah, if you don't actually understand it, and you can show that focal points don't change, you can show all kind of different conditions. We have like 10 different demonstrations that show the angular size of a light wouldn't change. In addition to that, it would depend on the medium that it's in and what's between you and it. And of course, the most important part is actually we have an azimuthal grid of vision, which explains all of that perfectly, including the position, the declination, and the actual apparent size. So no, that's just a false claim that people make. And of course, it does change angular size throughout the year, as the moon also changes angular size, as if it was local. Then you guys hijack that, claim it's proof of your model when you made your model from the fact it changes, then claim it should change every day because you don't understand that it actually shouldn't, because it's more like a focal point and we have an azimuthal grid of vision.
All right. And continuing on, Kurt Hanneman says, for $5, why are our heads shaped the way they are? Kurt, I'm not sure if this conversation is completely pertaining. Maybe if
Evolution.
we have an argument as to how gravity shaped our heads the way they are, I don't know if that's what they're implying here, or if there's something the flat Earth or globe Earth is going to entail there. But if either of you gentlemen want to comment on why our
Sure,
heads are
sure.
shaped the way they are, that would be
Yeah,
great.
yeah, sure. So we basically evolved from primitive, more primitive basal form of apes or old world monkeys, and our craniums needed a higher brain capacity, whereas we evolved sort of less jaw strength and a higher cranial capacity to keep said more complex brain in. There you go. It's all that's required.
You heard it. You heard it here, folks. We came from the same ancestors as strawberries and rats.
Oh, like so long ago, sure. Yeah.
Okay. If
Like
you want to
ages
believe
and
your
ages and
ancestors
ages
the
ago.
same as a rat, go for it, brother.
Well, we'll get to that debate
Oh,
from the sounds of things, then,
yeah.
boys, another
I think
day.
that debate would be good. Yeah.
I think it would be too. Kango 44, $22. Witsit, I have watched you in many debates. If you care about the truth, why don't you go measure the shape of the Earth? People did it thousands of years ago. I think you're just fundamentally dishonest. $22.
Yeah, you
Coming
think
at you.
people did it thousands of years ago because you read a Google result and it said they put sticks in the ground and measured the size of the Earth, dude. Okay. I actually have gone out and made observations on the Earth many times. And we've done laser tests, mirror flashes, long distance observations, and all of these things far extend past the curvature of the Earth. The reality is, you for sure, and all the people that come mock the flat earthers haven't gone out into the world and tested anything. They've never taken a mirror and shown it 22 miles across a lake from the beach. They've never shot a laser across the lake. They've never did long distance observations from 6 inches above the earth using the globe earth prediction, seeing it way too far. They've never went and examined even the evidence other people compiled, like Canagoo being seen just on specific days where the sun goes beneath it, nothing to do with refraction, being, supposedly obstructed by miles, but we can still see it. So I did test the Earth. I'm not being dishonest. The people being dishonest are the people that just try to gaslight the other people thinking outside the box to pretend they're smart by conforming to consensus.
Yeah, so
All
we
right.
still do experiments on the
You had
shape
never
of the
done one.
Earth. We still do these experiments, and we still do like Foucault pendulum. We still do, Cavendish experiment. We still do all of these experiments. And what's funny is that Jeranism did the light experiment and came up the Earth isn't flat. So
It was
there you
closer
go.
to flat than globe, and you Freudian slipped. Thank you.
No, that's not what it
All right. Last word to you there, Austin, on the question there.
Oh yeah, just like go test the Earth for yourself. Like either believe what people say on the internet as they try to attack it, or just go test it for yourself. That's why flat earthers exist.
All right. And Austin Talks, $5. When I build the Faraday cage, you guys can
Yeah,
correct me
Faraday
on that.
cage. Yep.
All right,
Faraday
Faraday cage to block the electrostatic current. Things don't float in the cage. I have debunked your theory of gravity. Witsit.
Again, very ignorant. So first of all, Faraday cages don't entirely block electrostatics. If you could create a Faraday cage that attains zero, you could be a multi-billionaire. So please go get your Nobel Prize and become a billionaire. Not one exists. It's impossible. And free space has impedance with the dielectric and magnetic constant. The Faraday cage itself is electrostatic, and anything inside of it is. Of course, the object doesn't begin to float because it's made of matter and it has density, and the matter is held together intrinsically by electrostatics. That's what actually holds the object together, it being more dense than the air, and always relative to electrostatic induction and transference between the medium and the object. It's going to seek equilibrium at the ground.
Yeah, so the Faraday cage goes 360 degrees around you and blocks most, close to all electrostatic and electromagnetic interference. If sort of the ground is what's causing this, as Austin keeps saying, then that cage should at least lessen it, so you would weigh less. But unfortunately, that isn't what happens. So we know that it's not electrostatic to the ground that is causing downward sort of forces at all.
Incorrect again, Mark. What a shocker. Actually, if it's more dense than the air, it's going to go down. And what gives an object density and mass? It's intrinsically electrostatic. You couldn't have mass, weight, or density without the electrostatic bonds holding the object together. It's relative relationship between the medium and the object is what determines directionality, then it goes down. In order to actually make something change its way, you have to introduce a ton of electrostatics, but even the smallest amount that gets to the Faraday cage is way stronger than gravity claims to be. Okay, thank you.
All right, excellent. So we can move on. Just to repeat myself from earlier, if either of you have anything that you want to do right quick, if you need to use the washroom, I know that we have a long Q&A that's coming up here, so I can.
Yeah, then let me use the bathroom first.
All right. Austin needs to use the washroom. I hear that. So I'm going to get a question for you here, Mark, because we do have a lot of questions here. Mark from DJ Bergie for $5. Mark, book a flight from Chile to Australia with 1 or 2 stops. Why are these stops in Lax, Houston, etc.? The flat Earth model makes sense. Round doesn't.
Yeah, so it just depends on what airports they're going through and what flights are available. I don't think that a flight from Chile to Australia is particularly done because there's not a lot of traffic through there. That's why it's an economic thing, not a unable to fly that distance thing. That's the thing. Like there's a lot more people going from Perth to South Africa and South Africa to Perth than there is going to Chile. The whole point is that if the flat Earth was true, that flight from Perth to Johannesburg would not be 11 hours. It would be a lot more. And I showed that on a physical a actual diagram. Like you can't just explain that by saying, oh well, this flight doesn't go from here to here. There may be other reasons why they don't do that. It doesn't mean that the flight should exist, because there's flights that don't go from certain locations to certain locations just because not enough people are traveling them. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, Ethan also had a question for you here right after that. So Ethan W0406 for $2. Mark, when NASA admits flat Earth truth, will you believe them?
I think it'd have to be a scientific consensus, but yeah, assuming there was a scientific consensus and NASA did say, hey, we're supporting this scientific consensus, well, possibly, yeah, but I don't, because I see the evidence. I see, but like I live in a port city, I see boats going over the horizon, and the explanations don't cover it. I see, I once worked with like sort of in a telecommunications company where I had to give coordinates for the satellite internet. Like, without satellites, you're saying, hey, some reason you were fooled into thinking you were working with satellites is ridiculous. So that's not going to happen just because it's not true. The coordinates that we're giving them were like straight up in the air. Like it's ridiculous to think that somehow everybody's being fooled. It's not true. I'm sorry.
Welcome back, Austin.
Dang, was the audience getting indoctrinated that whole time? I always drink way too much liquid. I'd like chug a drink and then drink too much in the debate. I always do that.
That's all right. I'm fortunate. I have my washroom just on the other side of this room here. I got it en suite, so luckily I could just pop in there essentially. That's what we call it anyway, is the bathroom off the kitchen in the apartment. So we had 2 questions here, which was about flights from Chile to Australia, and also about if NASA were to admit if the Earth was flat, would Mark believe them? So we're going to move on from there. The Bitter Truth for $5 says, Austin, what is quantum physics?
Wow, what a question. So it's, of course, the study of the subatomic scale. And to put into pretty simple terms, they thought, okay, what's the atom? And it's changed like 6 times, I think. And the current definition is a quantum definition that claims the electron can never be detected or found, and then we just have a cloud of distribution probability. And they thought, okay, what's inside the atom? That's how they came up with the atomic model. They're like, oh, the proton, the neutron, and the electron. Then they're like, I wonder what's smaller than that, or what are those things made of? And then they dived into the world of quantum and they found out nothing was material, nothing was physical as expected. It was actually all energetic and all seemed to be little bitty vortices And so they began to identify the different spins and momentums and come up with different names. And what quantum has shown us now, which is actually just the need for materialistic explanation and subatomic particles, everything must be a particle of matter because these people are materialists and frankly hate God. So they've discovered that all relativity and all the theories of the heliocentric model do not work with the evidence on the quantum scale. And we have way too much energy observable in a vacuum for it to work. So it's basically the realm of physics that debunk the heliocentric model, so they keep them separated, and it's materialistic attempt to explain the metaphysical.
Awesome.
So your explanation is God.
I think
No.
we'll move forward from there, just because you did get a couple minutes there, Mark, to answer a few questions without
Oh
interruption.
yeah, sorry, yeah.
That's fine too. I have another question here for Austin. So if you had something you needed to do, Mark, right quick, if you want to fill up your cup, that's fine.
Yeah.
Austin, $5 from the Bitter Truth. We've magma, Austin. We've magma molten rock with that molten metals moving circular. That's where gravity is coming from. Your reply was hilarious.
Yeah, that's not even what they claim. They claim that the magnetic field comes from the moving magma core and creates convection currents, giving you the geomagnetic field. They claim that just simple mass in and of itself, distributed within space-time, creates the bending and warping of space-time, creating a gravity well, which causes things to orbit one another via a geodesic path where it changes angular direction in free fall, even though that's anomalous to all physics ever. So actually, that is not even where gravity's claimed to come from in your own model. It's claimed to come from the mass itself bending and warping space-time. And again, everything's intrinsically electromagnetic. It would actually come from the background medium. It actually presses down from energy above us and creates the downward electric bias.
All right. Excellent. Mark's back here. Arcane Vision asks, Mark, what repeatable, observable experiment can you cite showing a pressurized system can exist next to a vacuum without being separated by a barrier?
Yeah, so Cavendish experiment shows gravity. It's done all the time. The equations that we use take the weight of what is hanging there on the pendulum, or the weight on a string, and we can see the effect of deflection from that thing to the and it changes. Like, we change the weight and we change the distance to the objects, to the weights, and that changes the amount of deflection exactly as gravity predicts. So yeah, we know that gravity has a effect on stuff. So we know that gravity can attract air particles or any mass, really.
All right. Coffee Mom, $1.99. Is nighttime for me? Is it daytime for Mark?
Yes.
I think we discussed that before we started. Yeah, it's daytime where you are.
You can see the sun through my blinds in the back, actually. So yeah, definitely.
Look up coffee cup caustic.
Sorry, Austin, I think we missed you there.
To explain the distribution of day and night, you can look up something called coffee cup caustic.
I think that's appropriate since our commenter was Coffee Mom. So
there you go. Check it out.
That all works out. So yeah, you all want me to turn up my preamp. Now I'm talking to my mic and my mustache keeps getting caught in this microphone. Oh, hurts. See, I took the pop filter off. That was a mistake.
Yeah, just let it keep growing, man. Eventually you get past the awkward stage.
Oh, I'm past the awkward stage. I've done that a few times, but
not for
yeah.
you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had it about as long as yours before I did shave it off last time. So, but it was getting pretty bad. I didn't keep it quite as nice as you keep yours.
I need to keep it.
I'm a rock star. I'm a rock star through and through. So
there you go. Nice.
Keep it messy. Yeah. So Siggy Sigwald, $5. It is easy to misrepresent you. I'm gonna clean this up just because there's a little bit of name calling here, and there is a question hidden in it. So I'm just gonna clean it up a bit. It is easy to misrepresent you, Witsit, especially with all these moving goalposts.
Yeah. So the truth is that there is not a model for either side of this discussion. Okay, you have models for specific phenomena. There is no globe Earth model that answers everything. That doesn't exist. Oh, James came in for a second.
James,
So
my goodness.
yeah, there is there is no like model. If you want to show like a model for the globe Earth at the magnetic field, you have the geodynamo model. Okay, you create models to try to explain different phenomena. But I'm not moving any goalposts. Okay, answering. I can answer every question specifically. I give specific responses and bring up specific points, and they're always avoided. So I'm not moving the goalpost. I'm addressing with substantive specificity. So you can just watch the debate back again without a bias, maybe.
All right, let's move on there from that. So we have $5. Oh, sorry. Congo 44. Sorry, $11. Witsit, please cite a paper that says the light is the excitation of a background medium, or did you just make it up?
Oh, yeah. You can read all of Oliver Heaviside's work and Charles Produce Steinmetz's work and Nikola Tesla, just the fatherheads of electrical field theory, the person that made the AC generator and then perfected it. Charles Produce Steinmetz perfected it. But what do they know? What do they know? They're not just geniuses or something. So there's some papers for you, very extensive ones. You can also read Jeff and Minko. Now, I know the people that are going to say something. I've never read any of these people. Probably couldn't read them, frankly. And it's all good. Yeah, light is nothing more than the background medium excited. And that's why we have all kinds of paradoxes within the current understanding, because it seems to be instantaneous.
That's not citing a paper. Citing a paper is saying, hey, here's the name of the paper and this is who published it, kind of thing, citations.
Okay, discharges, waves, and impulses, Charles Produce Steinmetz.
Okay.
All right, let's continue on here. So $5 from Nick. Mark, are you paid by flat earthers? You create so many of them. We can skip that if you'd like.
No, I wanna hear the sort of things that they got to say. That's fine. Like no, and I'm not paid by anybody really. I just I really care about the truth, and I don't think we should be basing it on such a bad science and sort of things that can't be explained, and sorcerers and magic and things like that. So very bad for our society to believe in these things.
I agree. The heliocentric model's got to go.
All right, excellent.
This thing that you've cited appears to be a book.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's not a paper.
Okay. Well, sorry.
Yeah, a book's not a paper. Anyone can write a book, right?
Do you know who Charles Produce Steinmetz is?
No, but they asked for a paper.
Oh, you mean like a peer-reviewed paper?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I have a peer review article that says 70% of peer review is wrong and it's completely flawed and based on belief, and it's peer-reviewed. So I don't need a peer review.
Gotcha.
We need scientific empirical evidence, not people's opinions run through the filter of bias and only accepted within the current paradigm.
People's opinions like a book?
Okay. No, it's built upon all experiments. If you've ever read Charles Produce Steinmetz, you would know he did thousands of experiments.
Well, they asked for a paper, so you giving a book is a bit weird, just weird.
Okay, well, everyone believes in the quantum definition of light and the special theory of relativity because it's the only way to explain the heliocentric model.
Maybe.
So... Okay,
maybe
Mark's all over your head. Come on, man.
All right.
Well, maybe you just gave a book because you wanted people to believe it was a paper.
No, I just explained where you can find the information about that before the confinement of the special theory of relativity, which shows the quantum definition of light, which I know way more about than you. That's why you keep interrupting me, so we can just move on.
Not what you actually said it was. You said it was a paper. It's not.
I just cited.
It's more dishonesty, really. It's dishonest.
That makes you feel better.
Hey, this is a paper, and it's not a paper.
You couldn't even comprehend the first page of that book, Mark. So please calm down.
Okay, well, I'll get it and read it, and then we'll see if I can comprehend it.
No, you won't.
Okay, well, Witsit just wants to throw out, just...
Hey, I'll debate you again once you read the whole book, and we'll talk about the book.
All right, excellent. So I got to use the washroom. I'm doing the dance of 1,000 bladder knives here. So we got a lot more super chats.
Maybe after we debate evolution, Witsit.
I don't know if I want to debate you again, man. We'll talk about it.
Well, I want to debate evolution. Evolution, you had some stuff to say on it, and so I'd like to debate.
Why do you care about my opinion on things if I'm so stupid?
I didn't say you were stupid.
You insinuated it.
You were stupid.
Let's talk about the format after, because if not, then I'm going to just burst open here. Because...
You got it, bro.
I was going to say.
I said you were wrong and that you were being dishonest, but I didn't say you were stupid.
All right,
Okay.
let me ask the next question here, guys, and then I'm just going to dash out for just 1 second. Nick B, $5. Austin, how are constellations in different continents? I can't see the constellation Crux at 29 degrees above the equator, but I can see it in Brazil.
Okay, yeah. It's pretty simple, man. So when you get further away from things due to perspective, they drop optically and eventually you can't see them anymore. We have a limit to our perspective. It's visual curved space. It's actually hyperbolic geometry. We've explained this many times, but ironically, how you actually view the stars on the Earth debunks the globe because we can see the Southern Cross way too far north and we can see the North Star way too far south below the equator, which should be impossible. And the globe just claims, oh, it looks like it's there, but it's actually blocked by the Earth. It's just lifted up and refracted from 300 light years away. Okay, that's a very enlightening claim. Okay, so the position of the stars don't debunk flat Earth unless you don't understand it. Mark, also with the Cavendish, dude, you said that when you change the weights, it always matches the gravity prediction. That is objectively not true. It's known to be one of the most inconsistent experiments ever. They stopped even
No, it
using
isn't,
them in
Austin.
universities, and I'll bet you $15,000. I'll pay you in increments over the next few years as I can try to get it up. If you can prove to me that Cavendish is perfectly matching the prediction of
I never
gravity every
said
time.
perfectly. I
Said
never said
exactly.
perfectly.
You said exactly.
It matches what we expect to see. Yes, Witsit. It matches
Incorrect.
what we expect to see.
What's the
No, it does.
p-value?
It does. So, like, do you have any reference for this that they basically are saying it's inaccurate in these universities that you want to bring up?
Sure, yeah, it's very inconsistent.
Oh,
Didn't know
that's just
that?
you saying it's very inconsistent. Where is that
I'll drop
in the
another
university saying
paper
that?
for you. I'll drop another paper for you. Do you
Oh,
even know what
okay.
the
Yeah, like
p-value is?
another book. Is this going
What's
to be a book as well?
why are you so hating? Why do you think books aren't valuable?
No, I think books are valuable, but they're
You
not a
read books?
paper. Do you understand the difference between a peer-reviewed paper and a book?
He didn't say peer-reviewed paper. He said a paper. Did you know that
Okay,
books have paper
so
in it?
Richard Dawkins wrote a book called The Selfish Gene. Is that true because it's a book?
Is it true because it's a peer-reviewed paper?
Is it? Well, it's not a peer-reviewed paper. It's a book.
Is something
Understand the
true
difference?
because it's a
Like, you don't
peer-reviewed?
even understand the difference between a book and a peer-reviewed paper.
Yes,
It
I
is
do.
embarrassing, quite frankly.
No, but you
Like,
said
Richard Dawkins wrote a book called The Selfish Gene about evolution. Does that make the book true?
I never said that just because someone wrote a book that it makes it true. People write all
Then what are
kinds
you
of
saying?
contradictory books, but what you seem to be insinuating is if it's a peer-reviewed paper, then it must be true, even though there's tons of peer-reviewed papers that contradict themselves. And I have a peer-reviewed paper from the Royal Society of Medicine saying that the peer review process is incredibly flawed and flooded in bias and belief.
I never said that. What I'm saying is that the methodology of having a peer-reviewed paper is more reliable, way more reliable than somebody going out to a publisher saying, hey, I got an idea for a book, writing it down, and then producing a book. It is way more reliable, and certainly more reliable than a flat earther sitting there and just saying words, expecting them to, somehow magically create a model for what they're trying to explain.
Okay, I'll drop 5 different peer-reviewed papers in the chat right here that explain that peer-reviewed is a flawed process.
Well, maybe drop one that says the Earth's flat while you're at it.
There you go. There you go. Always change the subject in Gaslight. We can move on.
That's the same subject. It's peer-reviewed papers. What are you talking about?
Would you like to admit peer-reviewed is a flawed process?
It's not perfect.
No, it says it's incredibly flawed and it's flooded with belief. And it was peer-reviewed, so it must be true.
It's not perfect. But
no, it's not good at all.
I never said it must be true. What I'm saying is that peer review is a way better methodology than just publishing a book, because anybody can publish a book on anything.
Sure, yeah, but do you agree that if the book details experiments that can be verified scientifically, then it's much more valid than a peer-reviewed paper that doesn't have experiments that can verify it?
If the book is detailing experiments that can be verified scientifically, it will be in a scientific paper, and the book will reference the paper.
You couldn't even answer the question.
How do you know the person that wrote that book did a proper verifiable good experiment?
Because they've been done hundreds of times since.
they've been done, like the Cavendish experiment, for instance.
No, why you always change the subject when you're cornered and disproven every time.
Yeah, it's because you've got a completely warped sense of like, well, we should trust this book, but not this other book. I mean, I know what book you trust, Austin.
What I said is it has to have testable, verifiable claims that can be demonstrated empirically with evidence that is verified.
Then someone does it, puts it in a paper, and submits it for peer review.
But there are peer review papers that make contradictory claims, and you don't have to have a scientific experiment verifying your paper to publish it.
That doesn't mean you should trust a book.
I said you should never just trust it. It should be independently verifiable via scientific experiment. Fourth consecutive straw man. That's all you have.
No, and you're straw manning my position because I'm saying that the methodology behind peer review is way better than a book, and you keep going to this book and hassling peer review. If writing a book was more reliable than peer review, you would have a point, but you don't.
Fifth time you straw man me. It's not if it's in a book. Doesn't matter if it's peer-reviewed paper or a book. Neither one of those things makes it true. It is that the claims can be independently verified with scientific experimentation. Now monologue about how I'm saying books are better than papers again.
No. What I'm saying is the scientific experimentation is the peer review process. I don't know why you don't understand this.
Wrong.
When you're saying, hey, it should be up to scientific experimentation, that includes the peer review process. What is wrong with you?
Can I share my screen? Can I share my screen, please? Because I'm
so tired of this. What are the stages of the scientific method? What are the stages of the scientific method?
We are in Q&A, but this is, if you want to share your screen, I think this is fine because we're really getting into a lot of good meat in the discussion. So
yeah, I think this is very important. Yeah, so like here's a peer-reviewed paper, okay? Journal of the Royal Society of Medicine, peer-reviewed, a flawed process at the heart of the science and journals. Everyone should read it. Obviously, don't just read the summary and the conclusion, but peer review is at the heart of the processes of not just medical journals, but all of science. It's the method by which grants are allocated, papers published, academics promoted, and Nobel Prizes won. Yet it's hard to define and until recently been unstudied. It's been unstudied, okay? So when we come down here, you can read all of it. It covers the bias, okay, with specific examples. It's inconsistent, okay? It's slow and expensive. We come down here, okay? The abuse of peer review. Oh, it explains there are several ways to abuse the process of peer review. Come down here further. Blinding the reviewers of the identity of the author is rarely ever done. It's never been tested. Opening up peer review, training review. We come all the way down here. So peer review is a flawed process full of easily identified defects with little evidence that it works. Nevertheless, it is likely to remain central to science and journals because there's no obvious alternative, and scientists and editors. I cannot finish the sentence. Scientists and editors have a continuing belief in peer review. How odd that science should be rooted in belief. Okay, and there's all the references. You can look it up yourself. So peer review debunks your claim that we have to always have peer review, and it somehow makes it more valid. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to share my screen.
Yeah.
You respond to the paper?
Yeah. What it's saying is that it does have flaws in the process. However, there is no alternative because it is the most reliable way to gather data. You're basically saying because this methodology has some problems in it, then we shouldn't trust it at all, while not giving any alternative to the process of science, right? So let's have a look.
We can share your screen there if you have something that directly interacts with what he was saying there.
Steps in the scientific method. So when Austin says, like, we can verify this scientifically, this is what he's talking about. And if you go down in the last step, report your results, checked and verified by other scientists in a process called peer review. So when he's saying, hey, we can scientifically verify this, he's basically saying, hey, we can include peer review in this process. So Austin, just because you don't understand science and how it works, when you keep saying we can verify this scientifically, you're basically saying, hey, yes, we can include peer review on this process. So you don't know what you're talking about.
This was in the early 1900s at the beginning of electrical field theory. There wasn't a huge peer
Ah,
review process
sure.
done at the time, but these inventions and innovations are still used to this day and have been scientifically demonstrated and experimented on many thousands of times, which means it's much more valid than something that can't be scientifically verified. We can move on. I've said it 7 times now.
Yeah, no, scientifically verified means peer review. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it doesn't include peer review.
Yeah. Okay. When did peer review start?
I don't know. What you expect me to have that off the top of my head?
Oh.
Like I just have access to that.
So he has over 200 patents, and like majority of them are used today.
I'll look it up.
Charles Produce Steinmetz. He was like an incredible genius, like a literal savant. Could read books, and then you ask him what's on page 357, and he could tell you what it said. He invented tons of electrical inventions we use to this day.
And when did he write his stuff?
Like late 1800s, early 1900s.
Okay, peer review started in 1665 by the Royal Society in London. Thanks, Austin. Cheers.
When was it?
1665.
Okay, but was it a broadly accepted
modern
process?
Peer review process.
Okay,
so
he probably
thanks,
has
Austin.
them. If
we can move on. You're wrong. We can move on. That's fine.
Yeah. You know more than Charles Produce Steinmetz, but couldn't even read his page.
I never said that. That's a straw man. I never said that. I never said that.
Again, in conclusion, my point is it doesn't matter what the paper is, what the book is, who writes it. That doesn't make it valid. What makes it valid is that the information inside of it can be tested and verified with experimentation, just like Charles Produce Steinmetz's books have been verified because he details experiments that we still use inventions from to this day.
Nice movement of the goalposts there, Austin. Now suddenly it's not scientifically, it's by observation and experimentation. Yeah, good moving of the goalposts there, mate. You're wrong. Just accept it and we can move on. There we go.
That's what science is, experiment and observation. Oh my gosh. That's what science is.
All right, let's
peer review. It's reporting as well, as I showed you in the list of stuff to do in the scientific method. But no, you just don't want to believe that peer review and reporting of your results, checking and confirmation by other people is actually a thing.
Did that.
Because you don't, well, then give us the paper.
Hundreds of people have tested his theory since then.
Give us the paper.
The paper. Okay.
The question was for the paper. Just give it to us. Yeah, and that's just insulting someone because of their accent. So way to go,
just
Austin.
Boring,
you don't have arguments.
and monotonous.
You don't just have, you just throw out insults.
Okay, we'll let the audience decide. We'll let the audience decide.
Well,
sure.
Just to inject here, if anybody's wondering what my p-value is, it was great. I feel much better. All right, let's move on. You have a fan here from Surgeon General. They're a member for 20 months, and they say, Mark, you rock, brother. My head would pop live on air.
Yeah, it's hard to hear that kind of stuff. Sure, I get you, buddy.
All right, excellent. And moving on, we got Earth is Life, $5. What's the difference between Johannesburg and Sydney on a flat Earth? And is flat Earth Banjo's map an accurate map of flat Earth?
We don't know all the actual distribution of the land masses, contrary to people's like presumptuous ignorance. It's been consistently verified that distances in the Southern Ocean, for example, are drastically inconsistent reported distances and travel times in the Southern Oceans. So whenever people like pretend it's all perfect, it's a joke. Of course, 90% of people live in the North. Provably, when people travel in the Southern Oceans, the distances do not seem to add up to the claim. So you're asking me, is Sydney the same? Well, there's all kinds of aspects of why you're asking that or what that could mean, because the planes that travel to Sydney or from Sydney, again, they take many hours difference from one way to the next. Okay, so that means they're using jet streams. And they want to ignore that, but the Globe Earth claims they ride jet streams and go up to 850 miles an hour. So I don't know why this keeps getting breezed past. He said the plane would fall out of the air, yet we literally have measurable, detectable proof. Mainstream articles will tell you planes go faster than that in jet streams. So whatever.
Not twice as fast. And the whole point is that Austin wants to sort of bang away at, the globe doesn't know this, the globe doesn't know that, the globe, he doesn't even know where the continents are. He has no idea where the land masses are. This is hilarious. I love it. He just admitted that he doesn't have any idea about his own model whatsoever, which is just, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I know more about your model than you do, though.
Well,
Okay.
we can move on from there. Glow
It's amazing that you
markers.
don't believe in something you've studied so extensively, but sure.
I tested it.
I mean, you don't know anything about long wave sort of, transmissions or anything like that. So
We'll let the
there's
audience
certain things
decide.
I know way more about than you do, son. So yeah.
Yeah, you Googled it. We all watched you.
All right, let's move on from there,
Get out
fellas,
of here,
before
man.
we
What are you
get
talking
to
about?
let's not get too into
Yeah.
the
So Austin's got to throw insults because he's a child.
Dude, the whole
and-
audience said you were Googling. It wasn't even me.
let's not get into that. We will move on. Glow markers, 50 euros. Austin, got a unique debate idea for you. Debate Adam Green on both Earth's shape and Christianity deception. Check his recent one on modern day debate. I think you could both sway each other on major aspects of your respective topics. He's actually a genuine person. So they're saying you should have a conversation with Adam Green on our channel sometime. I don't know if that's something you're open to, but we can certainly talk about it.
Yeah, I would be down to talk to him for sure.
Sure. All right. $5 from Megalyn. All Witsit ever does is cherry pick some barely related topic and use it as an example of why whatever you just said can't be true. So they're accusing
Yeah, like
you of
this is
cherry
all
picking.
you'll ever hear. Like you can read the chat the whole time on the replay, or read the comments, or listen to the Q&As, or listen to everything Mark said. Like all you'll ever hear is these vague insults or like attempts to discredit my person or how I debate without any specificity. They'll never specifically say Austin claimed the geodynamo model lacks symmetry, which is predicted by the model and it can't be explained, but that's not true because actually the asymmetry is. They'll never do that. They'll say Witsit just brings up stuff but doesn't understand them and uses word salad, and they just gaslight me. And that's why I get thousands of emails from people that say the Globers are who made them a flat earther, because every single debate they watch with me, the person interrupts, insults, strawmans, and never responds with specificity. So I bring up things specific to the globe earth claim and ways to test the globe earth. It isn't random things, it's specific testable things, and never do they get rebutted. They just know that since majority of people think the Earth's a globe, they can personally attack you and appeal to emotion, and that most people will buy it because they want to believe the Earth's a globe because it's uncomfortable to think that some lie that big could ever be propagated onto people. But it'll be okay. You guys will get there.
No, actually, I brought up specificity with a lot of different things, like the azimuthal grid of vision and why the stars couldn't be seen from certain directions, and the bending of light that relies on, and all throughout this debate, Austin has interrupted, gaslit, strawman, and used insults. So this is sort of where I point out the hypocrisy of the person saying, hey, this is what they did, because he's been doing it all debate as well. So I mean, if he wants to be a hypocrite, sure. I mean, that's fine. And appeal to emotion. Of course he's used appeal to emotion. He's even used appeal to religion. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, I think people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, Austin.
We'll let people with competence rewatch the debate and see.
Sure.
All right. Let us do that. And $5 coming in. This is from Commercial Sound and Video. Mark, what is your explanation of the vast salt flats that display no curvature? It's the same as bodies of water. They are flat. Please explain.
Yeah, salt flats do actually show some curvature, but usually they're not that big on the scope of the Earth. The Earth is huge, like absolutely massive. But you can still see some curvature if you do send somebody far enough out on a salt flat. You do.
All right. Any comment there, Witsit?
Yeah, we can shoot lasers over the salt flats way too far without physical obstruction. We can see way too far over the Earth. We shoot radio transmissions way too far over the Earth, and they just always say "nuh-uh," or they use the word refraction, or then he didn't know he should have used the word diffraction, and it still doesn't explain it. So it's actually wet ground conductivity is one of the explanations. He doesn't know that though. But anyway, they always explain things away with unproven phenomena. But I encourage you to go test the Earth yourself. The salt flats is a good place to test it. You can shoot a laser over it.
Last word to you, Mark.
Yeah, go for it. just make sure that you're using proper instrumentation, you are considering all variables, and you are, repeating the experiment. So yeah, go for it.
All right, excellent. And we'll continue on here. We have all, yeah, I was gonna say, we got a whole bunch more that came in. So I'm just gonna scroll down here. It's a little bit of an insult, so we'll continue on from there. Let's see. That's the same one. It's funny. So this is Earth is Life, $10. It's funny how Witsit describes the flat Earth as a plane and the sun circling around the equator, but then claims that the model is a straw man when we show its obvious and glaring flaws.
Notice how he didn't say any of the glaring and obvious flaws, and he did the very thing I said the last comment, which is all they have is these vague chanting claims of victory, right? I explained that all of the positions of the sun are explained perfectly with the azimuthal grid of vision. He keeps saying that light would have to bend like it couldn't because he finally got down to the description of the model during the debate and then repeated what his critique was. But the light doesn't physically have to bend at all. It's an optical illusion of it bending relative to you within your azimuthal grid of vision. This can be verified many other ways. Oh, in addition, we actually can use ferrocells. If it's in a fluid-like medium, then the light will illuminate the distribution of the density of the fluid, just like in a ferrocell, and it'll make the light look like it's bending in drastic ways all the way around. It can do a full 360 bend optically based on the density distribution and, of course, azimuthal grid of vision. So anyway, there you go. The sun moving over top of the Earth in circles does work. I don't have to know that that's exactly what it does, but it would work.
All right, we'll continue on. Coconut cream pie, $5. Physics says that large astronomical bodies have to be circular due to gravity. Come on, Witsit. It's one of the requirements to be on a planet. Or be a planet. I'm so sorry. It's one of the requirements to be a planet.
Oh, so if we presuppose that the Earth's a planet, that was come up with a philosophical weirdo belief that the perfect shape's a sphere. And we look out in the sky and we see the stars and the lights and we say, oh, we must be one of those, even though it all moves around us. And we say, actually, it just looks like it's moving around us. We're moving through it, and just it's an illusion that it all resets over top of us. Then there must be something called gravity, or it couldn't exist because we have to explain the oceans bending around convexity and how the Earth could actually be a sphere in and of itself. Then what causes us to go around? So if we make all of those assumptions that are unfounded and antithetical to all empirical evidence, then gravity must exist. Therefore, gravity's real, I guess. But no, of course, that's called affirming the consequent, begging the question, and reification fallacies is fundamentally logically bankrupt. So no, I explained the only actual phenomena has to be explained regarding gravity, and it's all intrinsically electromagnetic. The smallest scale, electrostatics, for example, is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity and claims to be, and quantum has never found gravity at all anywhere. So that's unfortunate for you guys.
Yeah, so this is the same thing that he does. He basically assumes that the Earth's flat and then basically, creates an optical illusion that you can see 270 degrees behind you to see stars in the opposite direction. So that, that he's doing exactly the same thing. He's assuming that everything's electromagnetic. That's, his model that he presented, even by someone that disagrees with how the light actually looks in that model, who created the model. Whoops. He basically, that is reification fallacy as well. So, this is the whole problem. He's basically saying, hey, your model has specifications. I disagree with those specifications. My model has no specifications, so it can't be wrong about anything. It's just basically an argument from ignorance.
He's going to keep repeating the same script, so we can just move on. We actually even need him to say anything. He's just going to say the same script every time.
Not a script. That's not a script.
Yeah, you claim I make no claims. I make very specific claims.
Really, you go into these things where you bring up the azimuthal grid of vision and this. You are the one who is stuck in a loop, Austin. Don't tell me I'm on a script when you're going through the same word salad you always do.
Name one thing I said that was word salad.
I wonder if you sit in a mirror and practice this to yourself.
Name one thing. Name one thing I said that was word salad.
Electromagnetic thing.
Name one thing.
Azimuthal field of vision, because you
Yes.
won't show calculations on it. You won't show your mathematical calculations on it. You won't show any of the calculations required to demonstrate that light can be optically viewed in this way. Why won't you show that? It's
Hey, do
just,
you know what
oh,
word
here's a
salad
model
is?
of somebody. Here's a model of somebody that disagrees with me on how the light should be perceived, but I'm going to use it anyway because I'm going to assume a flat Earth.
You know what word salad is?
Yeah.
Define it. You've
Word
accused me of
salad
it
is when
10
you
times.
give,
So
yeah,
it.
so when you give very big words and very complicated words in order to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about, when you have no model to back it up. That's exactly what it is with it.
No, words, that's a different fallacy. Word salad is when the words jumbled together are actually incoherent. It doesn't make a
Yeah.
coherent, understandable phrase.
Yeah.
And so that's what word salad is. Now, azimuthal grid of vision is a coherent phrase. Okay. And you explained the reason I was using word salad was because you don't think I have calculations, even though the model does. So you should maybe learn what the word salad accusation actually means before you repeat it for 2 straight years and say it 10 times throughout the entire debate.
It wasn't just that. It was basically when you're talking about centripetal convergence of centrifugal and all of this stuff just jumbled together, it doesn't mean anything. Like we've pulled apart your word salad, Witsit. It doesn't mean anything because you're not like adhering anything structured to it. If you did, you would be able to present some form of calculation for this thing, but you don't. You just
Once
say
again,
it.
you don't know what word salad is. When I said
Yeah, I do.
centrifugal divergence, that's a coherent phrase. It means a specific thing.
Not with the rest of it.
Centripetal convergence, conjugate, geometric expression, all of this is coherent. Now, maybe you don't understand it, but it doesn't mean it's word salad. You just showed the whole room you've accused me of something the entire debate that you don't even know how to define. I just wanted to expose it because that's what everyone does. And every time I ask, give me specific example of when I used word salad, crickets, they never can, and they never properly define it. It's just a gaslighting technique.
Let's move on, gentlemen.
Austin, if you had something, you would present the calculations, formulas, and the equations.
There's the model.
And you never do. You never do. You've
Let's
not
move on, gentlemen,
nothing.
because we have a lot of questions here. And we will be here for hours if we don't get a move on. I mean, I don't know if that's fine with you guys. I mean, I love the discussion, so I do want to respect your time, though. So you guys are still doing good for time?
Yeah, I do agree we should breeze through them.
Yeah, I was going to say we have a lot of questions, so we'll try to move through them. If at any time, if you feel like we're taking a little bit too long there, Witsit, if you got somewhere to be, that's fine. We'll try to move it along. Just give me a heads up here. So we have from Eric Erpelding, $5. Ask Witsit about measurements from the transcontinental triangulation and the American arc of the parallel that shows the Earth has spherical excess.
Yeah. So this is a measurement from the late 1800s to the early 1900s where they claim they measured triangles and then it showed spherical excess. What they actually do is they transform the plane triangles to spherical triangles. They make initial reductions. So they make preliminary reductions to the data. They use the least squares method to make it match the model. They make base net adjustments all prior to the observed column. Then they use the spherical model, which is called the Bessel model, and the Clark method model, our model with the methods built within, to use the spherical models with the R values to actually make the data, then match it by correcting it after they make base net adjustments. And they factor the spherical Earth in to transform the plane triangles to the spherical triangles. And to actually get the azimuth direction reading in the first place, they use base net adjustments and preliminary reductions, reducing the data set to the agreed upon window of the spherical predictions. So it's a begging the question fallacy. Affirming the concept.
Let's continue on here. We have Ethan0406 comes again for $2. Mark, are you religious? Do you denounce Lucifer and Satan?
I don't believe in Lucifer and Satan, so I guess I don't know. I mean, I don't believe that's a real thing.
All right, let's move on. Eric Pelding, $5 again. Thank you so much for your support. Actually, that's the same question. So you know what? Thank you for your original support because I almost read your question twice. Meg Allen says for $5, Globe Earth is responsible for all of the world's navigation systems. What's it?
That's patently false, actually. People navigated long before that, and, actually, the foundation for, say, the longitude and latitude system was built upon a flat Earth, and actually, all navigational systems have their foundation on a flat Earth, and they use the azimuthal grid of vision, which gives you optical drop in the distance in the sky. They take that, claim that it doesn't happen, even though it provably does, and then they apply it to the ground and hijack it, and that's actually how they made the sphere Earth model in the first place. So they took the sky, hijacked perspective, and claimed it was the Earth curving. And then now people in 2023 say, look, the sky matches the globe model when the globe model was made from the sky. So it's really weird to me that people don't get that. But yeah, there you go.
I
Yeah,
don't know,
all
gents.
modern like navigation and measuring, geodetic surveys, all of this stuff uses a globe model. It's just, Witsit wants to say, oh no, it's our model. No, it's not. It's a globe model. GPS uses the globe. Everything uses the globe model. Nothing. The whole point about the azimuthal map is that it's splayed out. It's still the globe model, just made flat. That's the whole point, and that's why the flat Earth doesn't work. That's the all of these navigation systems all use a globe Earth. Everything uses the globe Earth. It's just Witsit wants to, sort of say, oh no, they're assuming. It's because it works. It actually has been verified millions of times.
Excellent. All right, we'll continue on. I was just thinking that at one point my whole world was the grilled cheese sandwich that I just made. So,
That was your whole world.
yeah,
Oh, Sandwich Earth.
that was the
I'm
whole
converted.
world.
I'm a believer.
Yes.
I'm a believer. It's Sandwich Earth.
Yes,
No,
sandwich
you
Earth.
believe in fairy tales.
Finally, we are all in agreement. The Earth is
Fairy
a
tales
loaf
like
of
God.
bread.
Yeah, no, I know. Fairy tale.
All right, excellent. So, Desmond Moore, $5. What is stopping flat earthers from taking an expedition to the ice wall? That is supposed to be circling us all.
Yeah. So there's something called the Antarctic Treaty, which was founded within a year of the foundation of NASA. Just totally a coincidence that they went and explored Antarctica, came back, founded NASA, then said it's illegal for you to go out there without our permission. We only can tell you where you're allowed to go. Now, Globers will say, flat earthers lie and say you can't go to Antarctica, but I know people that have been on trips there. That's not what we say, though. Yeah, I have family members that have been there. You can go on an approved guided tour to selected regions. Half the time you can't get off the boat. They can tell you what you're allowed to do. You have to send in 3 months advance notice if you want to try to do it privately. They have to approve your tour, approve your trajectory and your route. You're not allowed to go over the center. You can't bring external fuel supply or water supply. This is all an extensive documentation from the world's governments, all in agreement, the major world governments. So you can't privately and freely explore out there. So we don't. That's why we don't do it. And if you were a truth seeker, you would stop gaslighting flat earthers with that straw man when you know that you can't go out there freely and privately. And you should think it's weird that we can't, but you'll come up with an apologist defense attorney stance and defend the government's circling you like the Hunger Games. So whatever.
No, look, the Antarctic Treaty says that no military can be on Antarctica. You can still go there. And yeah, the only real way to get there is tours, sure, but that's because most people don't have like massive boats. And there are protected areas in Antarctica because it is a natural resource that people unfortunately can destroy. You can cause these glaciers to break down and stuff. So yeah, wow. We don't allow. But why doesn't Austin take a ship around? You can take a trip around Antarctica, like a ship that travels around Antarctica. So why doesn't he do that? It's because he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to find out that his like sort of little silly model is wrong. He doesn't want to find out. He doesn't want to take a trip from Perth to Johannesburg and find out that he's wrong. He doesn't want to do that. He just wants to interrupt and he wants to sort of gaslight and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
The audience has seen you been like incredibly.
Yeah, they've seen you too, Austin. They've seen you too. Austin.
Okay. You can't even go past the 60 south latitude. You can't even see Antarctica from that distance where they don't let you go. You can't take a boat, just go in a circle. You can't just go wherever you want. They don't. What would prove the Earth's a globe is you would go from the north, you'd come all the way down, you'd go over Antarctica, then you'd pop back up on the other side, completing circumnavigation, It's never been done in the history of mankind. Globers will claim it has. You can go look at the map, and they dip over Antarctica and they pop back up. So it's up to truth seekers. I, for one, don't want people that will lie and play defense attorney for the government who just shut the world down in agreement, even on this side.
Oh, it's
So
all the conspiracy. Yeah,
there
it's
you
all
go.
just a big conspiracy.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it's all conspiracy to get rid of God or do something somewhere. Look, governments
Get
aren't,
rid of
you know,
freedom,
I'm not
maybe.
playing,
Yeah.
I'm not defending governments. Look, I'm not
Yeah, you are.
defending governments, but there's no reason why the government would like make us believe there's a flat earth. It's one of the most ludicrous things. It doesn't
I mean, a
matter
globe
what
earth.
shape the earth is. It doesn't matter what shape the earth is. If a government's going to oppress you, a government's going to oppress you. It doesn't matter what shape the
Doesn't
earth
matter.
is.
Did you not know that
Apart
flat's
from
not a
your
shape?
sort of you know, religious background believing it. Yeah, if you just don't interrupt me, Austin, that'd
Well,
be
it's just
great.
it's taking a long time.
That's
We can move on
hilarious.
if
The
you guys would like.
hypocrisy on display is incredible.
I did talk a little bit too. Fair enough.
Yeah, you think?
Well, let's try.
I do think. Yeah.
Let's try to be respectful at the end of the debate here. But yeah, I was gonna say it's fine if you want to wrap up what you were saying there, Mark.
Yeah, I just, you know, you can take trips. It's ridiculous that you're not allowed past, you know, whatever latitude when people have gone on expeditions to Antarctica, on tours to Antarctica. And this is what Austin doesn't want to find out. He doesn't want to find out, you know, so he won't take a flight in the Southern Hemisphere. He won't actually check his calculation. He won't provide any kind of, you know, evidence at all for a flat Earth. He just wants to pick at globe Earth because it makes him feel better about, you know, things. It's just,
I went out and
he won't
tested the
do
Earth
this.
for years. Thanks for
Yeah,
playing.
where's your experiments?
All over the place. We did all kinds of observations.
Oh, all over the place. Yeah, just all over the place. Have you put them in, like, done calculations? Have you done equations? Have you put them down, you know,
on equations? Yeah. Very easy equation.
Okay.
You use the radius value of the Earth.
What's the radius value of the Earth and how does it?
3,959 miles. It's 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet should be where the geometric horizon is.
But how does that like?
Oh, so now you don't want equations. We can move on.
Experiments relate to those.
That's how you physically test the Earth being a globe.
Yeah, well, I'm a gog. You know, where's these experiments?
Whatever. We can move on. Dude, you just did the same thing I said you would do.
Okay.
Dude.
Yeah. No, this is what I'm saying. It's just all, you know. Let's pick at this and not.
No, I just have. I'm not going to sit here for
no.
4 hours.
It's fine, Austin. You just
let us do that. Let us move on
to
to our next question here. We have one from the Red Fox for $5. Mark, what is now? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this properly, so hopefully this is something we haven't delved into yet. Mark, what is the meniscus in chemistry? Also, why does a ball the size of a snooker cue fall the same size whether it's made of iron or porcelain?
Meniscus. I'm not sure what that is. That's a biological term.
No.
Do you know what it is, Austin?
Yeah, it's whenever water will conform to the outside. I'm pretty sure, and it'll like curve up towards the
If
outside.
either of you want to take a moment, I can check it up. I can look that up too if you want.
Yeah, I'm not.
I just heard it was for you.
Okay, so the
something in your
reason why
knee, and it's something that water does.
Well, let's see here.
That's all I know. I think that's what it's called, right? The where the water will like bend up. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
The meniscus, yeah, no, it's a cartilage in your knee. It's not anything to do with water.
Well, no, there is something that sounds very similar that where the water goes up. I don't remember. I don't care.
Oh yeah, I see it here. Meniscus. It seems like you might be on something there, Austin. So I see here meniscus
in water,
cushioning and stabilizing the knee. So it says a meniscus is a C-shaped pad of fibrocartilage that cushions and stabilizes the knee joint. So to put their question in context, what is the meniscus in chemistry?
Yeah, it's a curve in the surface of a molecular substance when it touches another material. So it's the water that'll, like, for example, curve to the outside of the container, just like I said.
Yeah, I'm aware that water does do that. It does curve when it, like, I believe that it's attraction to the sides of the container rather than...
With what? What makes it attract?
Isn't it electrostatics?
There you go, Mark. Everything is electrostatic.
No, everything isn't electric.
Name one thing that's not.
Can I answer the question, or do you still have to talk, Witsit?
Sure, yeah. You just can't name one thing that's not.
Yeah, okay. So the question was about gravity. Like, Witsit, this isn't like, I don't know what you're sitting there saying that I interrupt and I do all these awful things, and you'll do exactly the same thing and laugh about it. So
Go
why
ahead,
is it
man.
wrong when I do it, but it's right when you do it? What is
Because
that
normally I'll just make like
hypocrisy
one
there?
comment and you'll actually
No,
just
no, no.
keep
What's that
talking
hypocrisy
through me.
there? Why is that fair?
I'll try to answer you. Like I'll just make like an occasional comment in good faith exchange, but you'll like
Oh,
take over and then just not ever yield the floor back.
good
But
faith. You interrupt in good. That's the first time I've heard somebody say they interrupt in good faith. That's awesome. No, awesome, Witsit. That's some high level hypocrisy that you've
so it's
sort of
bad faith.
rationalized away there. Oh yeah, of course it
You
is.
should
You're
rewatch
looking
the
to
stream. You
interrupt
interrupted
me.
me for an hour and a half, buddy.
Let's move on, fellas. Magellan,
You
$10.
interrupted as well. This is the whole point. No,
Excuse-
no. Because the other one was, why do two things the same different weights drop at
Yes,
the same
I
time,
do
even
apologize.
if they're
That
different
question was
density?
for you, Mark. So yeah, if you wanna
Right,
finish there,
not for
that's great.
Austin, strangely enough, even though he's basically taking it over. So basically the amount things, conservation momentum, things that means that things will remain at rest until another force is acted upon it, and once it's in motion, it will continue in motion until another force is acted upon it. Now, the way that gravity operates is that the heavier something is, the more mass something is, the more force is required for it to move. Even though gravity isn't a force, it acts like a force, and the more energy is required to make it move. But the heavier something is, the more it wants to stay still. So basically, because gravity has a stronger effect on things of larger mass, that larger mass is cancelled out by the amount of gravitational pull that it has. So things fall at the same rate because less energy is needed for the lighter thing, but more energy is generated for the heavier thing, and those things equalize, and that's how gravity works.
All right. Any comment there, Witsit?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's actually the bending and warping of space-time. And to clarify, I jumped in because you literally said maybe Witsit can help me with the meniscus, so I had to help define it for you. But like, anyway, it's the bending and warping of space-time, and it's just a joke. The truth is that you can't have mass
bending and warping of space-time doesn't explain why things fall at the same rate.
I was
all right.
Literally speaking.
We'll let Mark finish it there. I think that's great for that question there. Witsit from Magellan for $10. A globe Earth is baked into practically every computer, mobile device on the planet. They all use GPS. This is provably easy. Why do you bother telling these silly lies?
Dude, yeah. If
They're
people
coming at
think GPS proves the Earth's a globe, dude, it's like, it's just crazy, man. It's like how people don't understand these concepts. They assume the globe model. They built GPS around the globe model, and they give you a final output based on this assumption. And then you look at the rendered assumption and then say, this proves the Earth's a globe. In fact, of course, we even have discrepancies with GPS. And here's something that most people don't know. The most accurate GPS system is actually owned by the Air Force, and it's closed code. It is not open source. You are not allowed to get access to the world's most accurate GPS. Just look it up. Look up the military GPS. It's actually completely not allowed to be viewed by the public. So what a coincidence.
Yeah,
right.
so this is the weird thing. Like, apparently radio waves sort of attenuate really rapidly in flat Earth, but you can be out in the middle of nowhere in Australia and the GPS can still, nowhere within any landmark, any tower, any balloon, and for some reason get a GPS. It's because of satellites.
So you think satellites prove the globe too? This is like why people that are competent just kind of laugh at anti-flat earthers.
No, it just proves flat Earth, which is the topic
No, it
of this
doesn't.
debate. Yeah,
it doesn't. Why?
Well, how do the satellites stay up?
There's a million ways they could. Quantum locking and magnetic levitation.
Quantum locking magnetic levitation. So they're super cooled.
First of all, we don't know what's all the way up in the sky. Does it get colder in the sky?
Are they super cooled?
Does it get colder in the sky?
When does quantum locking gravitational magnetic levitation occur?
There are all kinds of different variables that could cause it. You could have a fluid-like medium. Yeah, you could have a fluid-like medium that would help facilitate if you had a super fluid.
Doesn't have to be super.
Okay. My God, it's like The point is that we can scientifically prove that quantum locking and magnetic levitation cause perpetual orbits. You claim that something free falls in a geodesic path while changing angular direction, and that physics literally contradicts itself, but you wouldn't understand that. So if you can show a demonstration scientifically where something can free fall while simultaneously changing angular direction, maintaining perpetual orbit, then we could entertain your claim as even being possible, but you can't do that. So we can move on.
And you think because quantum locking has been done with super cooled elements like an inch above that surface, that for some reason we can super cool satellites and have them kilometers above the Earth in a super cooled quantum locked position is just so zany. I mean, you might as well just say God's holding them up there, Austin.
Well, no, like you can actually use electrogravitic propulsion, which has long been known about. Even the Germans looked into it. Electrogravitic propulsion, you could catch the magnetic flux lines. In fact, if you actually go look at even what NASA says, that they use the magnetic field lines to help guide, to literally help guide satellites and to help determine their positioning. We have a magnetic field over top of the Earth. You could actually catch the magnetic flux lines and ride it. Yeah, using electrogravitic propulsion. You could also use magnetic levitation if the conditions were correct. Two verifiable things that can be tested and experimented with. Your claim is anomalous to all real physics, can't be experimented with. You won't address it. We can move on.
See, the shifting of the goalposts is they use that to guide satellites, as Austin just said, not propel them. So this is the shifting of the goalposts. You'll say, oh no, how do you propel them? These magnetic lines. But they only guide them, as he just said. You've got to listen carefully, because that's what he said, guide them, not propel them.
You consider for 5
they
days
don't
and Mark would
propel
never
anything.
answer how you have something in free fall changing an angular direction simultaneously, and if he can demonstrate it.
Yeah, so the gravity basically draws it towards the Earth.
Just to get in here, we do have a lot more questions to go through.
And can I just bring up this? This is about flat Earth, not globe Earth. So we've
about
got
both.
no evidence for flat Earth. And
About both.
Well, no, the debate is flat Earth debate. Did
Okay,
you miss the title of the debate?
Do we live on a globe?
Flat Earth debate.
Let's let him speak
on.
there, Austin, if that's all right. What was it you wanted to say, Mark?
It's a flat Earth debate. That's what the title literally is, flat Earth debate.
Okay. Well, I agree to flat Earth versus globe Earth with James. I don't care what the title says.
Well, take it up with him, because I said the title, the subject must be flat Earth. That was what I agreed
so
to.
You can't defend the globe. Got it. We'll move on.
I think that regardless of that,
I don't need to, Austin. That's the thing. I don't
his
need
intro
to.
had the globe Earth in
no,
it.
No.
Intro
There's scientists that defend the globe. Go and take it up with them. Publish something. I don't have to. And what I asked
we are going to move on with our
That's all
live
this
chat.
debate has turned into.
Fellas,
like,
we're going to move on with our live chat. I don't want to mute you guys this late in the debate. So we're going to move on. We have Siggy Sigwald for $20. Austin, given that you seem to be a genius and you know so much about so many topics, they're coming at you a little bit. Sorry about that, Austin. How is it that you're not making millions out of your knowledge? You replace all of the scientists in the world and just collect. So I think they're wondering why you're not making money. We can skip that one if you want, because that seems a little bit pointed.
Like everyone knows that if you question the status quo with any type of scientific information, that you're completely shut out. And I could cite, all kinds of people, famous people, Richard Feynman. There's all kinds of people that have spoken in specific examples how they get shut out if they question the norm at all. But in fact, a lot of things I'm talking about is being proposed within this very field that you idolize, deify, and worship without ever reading, understanding, studying, or doing experiments yourself, or even understanding the experiments that they do and researching. You just go read Popular Mechanics and hear Mark and FTFE and MC Toon say things and then believe it. But in reality, there's an ether being proposed by over 10 different physicists easy right now in modern quantum physics. They're opposing an ether, a Newtonian, a new modified Newtonian dynamics. They're proposing all kinds of the stuff that I've been talking about, but you don't know about that because they haven't come out on the mainstream and told you that's the new belief, because they haven't figured it out yet and they haven't agreed to change it. So you're behind. It has nothing to do with that. When you speak the truth, you get censored. And I don't claim to be a genius that's an expert in everything. Okay. I just actually study outside the confinement of the consensus. I can think for myself. I can actually read and understand things. I don't need other people to think for me.
And here's the thing, none of those physicists are actually proposing a flat Earth. That's the thing. That's moving of the
Oh my
goalposts. He
God.
wants to sort of equate ether to luminous ether, which used to be a while ago. But none of these physicists are actually proposing the flat Earth. They're all saying definitively the Earth is a globe. And so he wants to cherry pick. Oh, well, they say this thing. I can use that for my model. I'm going to use that. But when it comes to actually listening to them and listening to the physics of why the Earth is a globe, that's where he goes, no, I know better. And
All
that's
right.
the whole point.
I'm
He
so
thinks he
sorry.
does know better.
I don't want to interject here. Just for respect out of our audience's questions here, because we don't want to go on for too long, because we are going into 3.5 hours here. We are going to limit our responses to the
Oh,
questions
sorry,
of the
Ryan.
debaters
You
that they
did
leave.
ask earlier for us to
Oh,
sort of
that's fine. It's just that I've
interject.
realized now that we have questions
forever.
here that are from over an
Probably that
hour
was a
ago.
bad idea.
So
Okay, gotcha.
we should probably get to it. But
Okay,
thank you everybody for
go for it.
hanging
I'll
out.
remain.
You know, if you have the time, definitely hit the share on this video. Get this out to as many people as you can. Hit the like button. The more likes we get on the video, the more people are going to see this pop up in their suggestions, and that gets our content out there, and more people subscribing, and more people getting to hear these awesome conversations between people like Austin and Mark. And I'd just like to say again, thank you so much to both of you for coming out and having this discussion. I know we've went really long, and we got a few more questions here. If it's all right for you fellas, we can get through these, okay?
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Austin and Mark. All right. So we have a fan for you, Witsit. All right. It's from Earth. First Spade L8TR. Lord of the Rings. Is that what that means?
Earth first, space later.
I'm sorry. I thought LOTR. I was I was instantly into an extra level of nerdism there. They said Witsit laying down the truth, and we'll put the hands in there for it and everything because
Much love.
they're extending love out to you, buddy. We have a super chat from Megalyn. It's a little bit on the insulting side, so it's for $2. We're gonna leave that alone, but thank you so much for your donation. Zach Morgan, $4.99, asks, why is Witsit so uncharitable, graceless, and proud, and relentlessly condescending to those he debates?
I just think that's so disingenuous when literally every one of Mark's arguments were insults and he interrupted me the whole time. The only time he made specific arguments was in his opener. So, you know, the truth is I always come here trying to have a good faith. I try to be patient when people interrupt me. I try to yield the floor. But eventually, towards the end, like now, I get to where either I have to kind of begin to be interruptive or more assertive or call out the BS, or I'll be here all day just not getting to talk and getting insulted. So, I mean, I just leave it up to the audience, you know, see who really came here with more good faith and who instantly started insulting, gaslighting, and ad homing. We'll just leave it up to the audience.
All right. I'm so sorry that divulged into that, where that was directed at you, Mark. If you want to make an empirical response to that without attacking Austin, that would be good as far as what he's made for an argument there.
No, Austin is uncharitable and insulting from the start. I mean, he basically let me go first because he did want to have a rebuttal period without me having a rebuttal. He set it up that way, which is, you know, incredibly dishonest. He didn't make a presentation of his own. He saw my previous presentations and sort of addressed it in a rebuttal that he probably shouldn't have had. So, you know, from the very get-go, he's been sort of, you know, very, very unfair about the whole thing. He's also interrupted constantly, and that didn't start at the end. I mean, rewatch it. He's always sort of, you know, basically gaslit and sort of told me that you know, this is true and that's not true. So, you know, exact same thing can be leveraged back onto Witsit and you know, and these straw man positions left, right, and center. So, you know, the whole idea that that's what I started out with is ridiculous.
All right, and Witsit, you would get the last word there.
I'll just go watch the debate. Everyone heard it.
All right, excellent. And just to remind you fellas, you know, we're more than open to having you guys come back for a debate if you wanted to change the format. If you both feel like you're interrupting each other a little too much during an open discussion type format, we can definitely move into like a muted conversations, because I think everybody's really enjoyed the back and forth that you guys have had, regardless of what you guys might think about your interruptions. I think the audience has had a really good time here. So moving on. We have Magellan for $5. We have Witsit. How does GPS a certain altitude given its tower-based system as flat earthers claim? The geometry doesn't work.
So yeah, most of transmissions are undersea cables, and we have mostly tower to tower transmission. We also do have high altitude balloons, admittedly used for many transmissions, and I do not deny that something could be in the sky additional to balloons. Globers seem to think that because they don't understand that satellites can move over top of a flat Earth, they seem to think that satellites prove a globe. Well, they've heard a bunch of flat earthers challenge it because it's like, well, Google real pictures of satellites in space and see what pops up, a bunch of cartoons. So there doesn't seem to be near as many of these, satellites out in space that people think. And their space is not what people think. And it's not free falling around the ball as they think. But there could be something up there. And in fact, you could actually look into the ether wind experiment by Dayton Miller replicating Michelson-Morley, which was also recovered by Elias, who won a Nobel Prize in economics of science, but I'm sure he's stupid because he doesn't agree with you guys. Anyway, he showed that actually there is a precession that progresses with the time of the year. It corresponds with the equinoxes. And then when you take that, you get a drift of roughly 17,800 miles per hour. They could catch the ether drift within the magnetic flux lines and use electrogravitic propulsion to propagate over top of a flat Earth. So I leave the possibility up for there being something else. It's not actually needed, though. You have high altitude balloons, towers, and undersea cables.
All right. Earth is life, $10. I've actually gone out and tested the Earth, taken pictures, clearly obstructed by water, etc. How come I've come to a different conclusion than you, Witsit?
Because you have a bias, just like when I talked to you and I said, hey, how come the water's not always at the same level and it keeps changing, but you're claiming it's physical obstruction, or how you claimed that it was blocking it because of Earth curvature, and you couldn't answer whenever I pointed out that the compression was different in your pictures of the window sizes being different, the spacing being different, showing the compression changes relative to atmospheric conditions, as does the horizon. And then you just shut down and started insulting me. I've had a conversation with this guy. So the way you have different conclusions is you have a presumption that you have to adhere to. So therefore, you will always confirm your bias.
All right. And we have Orion Astrophotography, $5. Austin, how do we have lunar and solar eclipses on a flat Earth?
They could be all kinds of things. Even the Royal Astronomical Society back in the day documented that there were different types of bodies in the sky that could actually preclude what we perceive. The Royal Astronomical Society did it. Now, everything else they say the Globers believe, but if it goes against anything that they believe, it must be fake. But anyway, you could also use the polarizing effect. You can look up the like the quantum paradox of like using different lenses and how light is perceived through the polarization of lenses. And you'll see that there could be something just simply changing relative to the polarization of light, which we'll call the eclipses. It could be energetic cycles, and it could be another body inside the sky. And all of it, again, can be explained with perfect positioning and timing with the azimuthal grid of vision.
All right, excellent. I won't disappear in a cloud of smoke, everybody. All right, Austin, $5. Sorry, from Kyle Marilis. Actually, not for Austin, sorry. $5 from Kyle Marilis. Ryan, you need to be more assertive when moderating debates. I guess, maybe. I'll do what I can.
I think you did pretty good.
Well, thank you. As to say, I felt like I did better this time around. I'm still learning, everybody, but overall, I think we had a lot of fun here. We had a great conversation. Second part of this question here, and thank you so much, Kyle. I'll try to be more assertive next time. Maybe I'll be deeper.
Yeah, beat that chest, yeah.
Speak from the chest, right? Use my deep voice. Austin, great work as always. Thank you for doing what you do. Mark, what was your best proof? It's the same chat.
Thank you.
I still think that the circumpolar stars is the best proof. I think that all of the objections Witsit had was relying on just ridiculous, sort of optical illusions that don't exist, and ridiculous angles of change and that he can't quantify. So yeah, I still think that's the best proof, because it just cannot be explained on a flat Earth. Even the person that made the model he's relying on said that model doesn't work.
All right, continuing on. Cool Lambo, $5. Ball Earth is biblically compliant. Either of
No,
you?
it's not. No, it's not. It
Uh,
doesn't say the Earth is a ball. So sorry. It says it takes shape like clay pressed under a sill. It's immovable and fixed. It says it shall not ever be moved. And that there's a firmament stretched over top of it, and that heaven is above you and hell is below you. Now that doesn't prove the Earth is flat, but it's a gross misrepresentation of what that text says in its original language to say that it is a globe consistent book. But whatever. That doesn't prove the Earth is flat. Actually, scientific
yeah,
evidence only begins. What happens is it verifies design, or you can make up fairy tales, whatever.
yeah. I don't think the Bible sort of says that it's flat or spherical. It doesn't really say it at all. It also says there's four corners of the Earth, but we know this to be, it doesn't actually mean that the Earth has like literal corners to it. This is the problem with reading a book literally, that you have to take either, that in some way you have to drop certain literal things to accommodate your worldview, and that's obviously what Austin's doing. He's taking some parts of the book literally, and other parts like the four corners of the earth, he's taking that as metaphor or hyperbole, and
Oh, I
that's
think that's literal
what
too.
has to happen.
And just to clarify, to the Christian that sent that,
Where are the corners?
assumably that's a Christian that sent that. You see how the atheist who ridicules the creator makes fun of people that need a deity looking over them to feel better. He agrees with your bastardized interpretation of the text that he doesn't believe in and thinks is a joke and ridicules people for believing in. So that should maybe be eye-opening to you. You should re-examine in the original language.
Let's
Where are the
move on,
corners of the
fellas.
earth?
Just because we have
Where are these
here.
corners?
Can't access anything outside 60 south latitude. We're gonna move on.
Yeah, they're just imaginary.
Let's move on. Where that conversation there was not for anybody specific, we'll continue on. Andy Bab, $1.99. Thank you so much for your donation. Please send in a question, and please don't attack our debaters here tonight. They've been here for hours having this conversation, and we really appreciate them. So please don't attack our conversationalists. Witsit, what's the update with the Better Than Mage experiment? Where you are going to send up a camera on a balloon to see the curvature of the Earth. What are your expected findings?
Yeah, so we're sending up a balloon that's going to go roughly 32 kilometers. And we have one camera that's like a specific camera chosen to look at the stars, because what we've seen is that the stars actually begin to, like, they're not visible at certain altitudes. So we're very interested in seeing the progression and the visibility of the stars. And then we have an infrared camera to capture long distance shots also on the camera to capture how far we can see, and of course to look at the horizon with minimized imposed convexity. And we also have a horizon correction tool that we're going to use. So that is going to be done, I don't know, in like 3 weeks or so, maybe. It's actually Iru, the one that's doing it. And my expectations are that we're going to see land masses from many hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. And when we do, the Globers will say it's all an illusion and refraction. And ironically, the main argument tonight was that I was claiming illusions, and the globe claims everything's an illusion. So yeah, that should be done here soon. My expectation is that we're going to see a horizon rise towards eye level super far away, and the stars may go out, and we're going to have infrared that cuts through refraction and sees super far.
All right, and we'll try to move through these pretty quick here, just so we can get this wrapped up here. Desmond Moore, just to let both of you know, we'll try to keep this to a 30-second response, so we don't go over the 4-hour mark here, just to respect the audience's time here. So Desmond Moore, follow up to Expedition to the Ice Wall question. Shouldn't we be able to reach the ice wall from traveling west from California? I think that's for you, Austin.
Okay, well, we always travel. The ice wall would be south. We always travel relative to north using the compass. So that's a weird question. East and west is always going to bring you back in a circle around north.
All right. And we'll continue on from there. They Live Sunglasses, $5. I'm putting in a request for a debate about the existence of satellite and or the ISS. Either of you interested in a debate like that?
Maybe not against Mark.
Not against Mark? Well, Mark's interested. Well, and you're interested too, just not against Mark.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's Phil.
Yeah,
All right.
can't defend his views. That's good.
Well, you can certainly have that. We can certainly have that conversation. Bite me, XD.
Oh, evolution first. Evolution first. Witsit's been sort of, chomping at the bit about
I think we can
evolution.
definitely have that one. We can have muted rounds, and we would really get a conversation going.
Maybe it'd have to be creationism versus atheism, not evolution. They hide behind their fairy tale of evolution. I want to argue the philosophy that there is no designer. People are afraid to do it, but
Well,
maybe.
Let's
I
not
don't
go
know.
down that path. But would you be all right with that, Mark? That classification? Sure. All right. Well, we'll talk about it. So bite me XD, $10. Hey Witsit, Professor Dave was on another channel and he said he'll debate you on FTFE's channels, but said there's radio silence on your side. Would be great to see you two debate flat Earth.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if he actually said that online because anti-flat earthers lie a lot, but he may have. What's so funny is I asked for a fair, neutral platform, which seems like a pretty fair request, right? To any reasonable person. He wants to go to FTFE, which stands for Fight the Flat Earth, the most toxic person on all the internet in this discussion, and wants to have a Glober moderator with an anti-flat earther being the host. So no, I want a fair platform to moderate. I'm not going to bring FTFE thousands of dollars. He claims he gets thousands every time a flat earther's on there with a big name. So you want to do it on a fair, neutral platform, I'll obviously debate him anytime, anywhere. I'm not going to go to a bias setup debate.
All right, let's continue on. Before we do, though, everybody in the live chat, if you have a moment, it's just right down there. You just slide your mouse and you hit the like button, and it gets out to more people. This debate that we're having right now, and that would be really awesome. We're just about to break 300 likes on this video, so if anybody in the live chat could go over and give this video a like, that would be great as for getting this message out there and our neutral debate platform. We are getting near the end of our super chats here, everybody. So, Pharaoh Rex, $2. Hooray, the pigeon's back for more chess. Go, Mark.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay. I wasn't sure what that might have meant. Last super chat that I have here. Pseudonym, $5. Mark, I'm an aerospace engineer with generations of aeroplane planets. Why do we fly in automatic mode rather than manual when reaching a stable altitude?
Well, because if you keep altitude the same, if you automatically follow the altitude, you'll naturally follow the curvature of the Earth because the altitude is from whatever part of the Earth. As it curves, the altitude will remain the same and you'll naturally travel in an arc, not a straight line.
All right. That would be the end of that super chat. So yeah, I think that's everything that we have here today. We've done it, everybody. We had our debate about flat Earth with Mark Reid.
Oh, it's over already? Already?
Yeah, so hopefully we'll be back.
Soon.
And we will have that debate between you guys between creationism and atheism. I think you said, Austin, is what you'd like it to be. I think that's
the only thing I would entertain you.
Excellent. Well, let's have that conversation. Send me an email, guys, once we're finished up here, and we'll see if we can get that organized for you. In the meantime, thank you everybody for coming out and for your support in the super chats. We super appreciate it. In the meantime, rock on. Thanks everybody. Thanks Austin. Thanks Mark.
Thank you.
Super appreciate you guys coming out, and we can't wait to see you again.
Oh yeah, thank you. Much love.
Ryan. All right, thank you guys. Everybody. Take care.
All right.
There we go.